Let there be light. Let there be light. Keep it shining. Dim not its glorious rays. Let there be light. Keep it shining. Dim not its glorious rays. I will add my light to your soul, that our lights may be brighter in this world. I will add my light to your soul, that our lights may be brighter. Keep the light shining. Keep the light shining. Up like
Distinguished fratres and sirs, beloved light bearers, greetings and welcome. Up light bearers, keep the light shining. Keep the light shining, up light bearers. Welcome to day 2 and the final day of the 2001 Light Bearers Association National Conference, the annual conference of the Rosicrucian Youth Wing in the English West Africa Administration. Yesterday, we had and listened to power presentations from alumni members of the Light Bearers Association. We had a team lecture delivered by one-time president of the Light Bearers Association, Frater Chikezie Okorie, who talked about thriving in the new normal, the Rosicrucian perspective. We also had another lecture from Frater Christian Idiodi on employment and entrepreneurship in the new normal, as well as a skill acquisition lecture on strategies for successful virtual interviews, which was handled by Sora Rosetta Idiodi Ogara. And the final one was building the skills, not credentials, given by Frater Ejo Okonobin, Wadi Master of Eton Lodge, Uyo. To commence today's program, which promises to be even better than yesterday, here are the rules of engagement. All microphones will be muted by default to avoid hallback effects or background noise. To ask a question, kindly use the Q&A feature on your screen. To leave a comment, kindly use the chat area on your screen. To speak, kindly use the raise your hand feature on your screen. Please note that in line with cybersecurity policy, anonymous questions will not be attended to. What this means is that devices without names, questions from devices without names will not be attended to. We are also live on our YouTube channel, Amok Nigeria, and the link has been shared in the chat area. Should you experience network or technical glitches, please do not hesitate to join us there. And also kindly share this link with members who are unable to join us here on Zoom. A recorded version of this webinar will also be available on the YouTube channel. We humbly request our members to please subscribe to our channel. Name again is Amok Nigeria. My name is Nefertiti Ohimai of the Light Bearers Association alumni. And like I mentioned yesterday, because we know this program is for the youths, by the youths, is for the young adults, by the young adults, I will be joined by a co-moderator who is a light bearer, a different one from yesterday. In fact, he is a young man. And because we would like to also let us know that we can never be out of resources and that the LBA is actually a proper grooming ground for young persons. My co-moderator is a final year student of mechanical engineering at the University of Cross River. He has a diploma in computer information technology and is a graphic and web designer. He is born into a Rosicrucian family and have been through the ranks from the junior order of torchbearers to a light bearer. He joined the LBA in 2013 and was inducted in 2014. and has served as host for various LBA gatherings. He has served as affiliated body public relations officer for the Light Bearers Association from 2015 to 2017, and is currently the public relations officer of the Light Bearers Association in the Eastern Zone of Nigeria, as well as the LBA chairperson of Apollonius Lodge, Calabar. He is a tech enthusiast and is a two-time Master Sion in terms of Catholic Youth Organization of Nigeria and a two-time Youth Ambassador from 2016 to 2018, and is interested in leadership and personal development. Distinguished fratres and sorors, beloved light bearers, let's welcome light bearer David Etim.
Thank you so very much, Sarah Nefertiti. I'm grateful. Moving forward, we're taking our opening comments and invocation by a very powerful man, someone we all know in the LBA. He's the Deputy National Coordinator of the Light Bearers Association and also the Regional Monitor for Kutumi Lodge, Warri. Please. Let's make way for Frater Sam.
Thank you, David. I'll make a few comments and give an opening invocation for the day to start properly. Let me use this opportunity to welcome. Okay, first of all, I can see some videos. Most worthy Grand Administrator, dignitaries of our order, respected and revered alumni, fellow light bearers, good morning and greetings. It is my unique privilege to welcome all of you who are attending this webinar to the second day of 2021 LBA National Conference. Today is the second day. Yesterday, we had some activities and the moderator has already commented on them. However, for those of us who attended yesterday's activities, you could confirm and affirm that the lectures we had in terms of scope and depth and the content were brilliantly delivered by our alumni. Today is the second day, and I'm sure, and I promise you, that today is going to be as exciting as what we had yesterday. It can't be anything less. So today we are going to take some lectures, I think 3-4 lectures today, and to be delivered by our alumni as well. So I don't have any anxieties about the quality of what they are going to deliver to us. I am personally deeply owe a debt of gratitude and appreciation to the presenters, the ones of yesterday and the ones of today, because I know they are going to deliver superbly as well. We are lucky today that we are meeting under the auspices of the LBA and by extension, the Order Rosette Crucis. The alumni who are making these presentations passed through the LBA project, through the talent pipeline of the LBA. And we're happy that what we are getting, because we have to build our own, grow our own timbers. And we're happy that the project have produced these brilliant resource persons who can deliver good materials for our light bearers. I'll urge all light bearers, whether you're at home or at the clusters, to key into these lectures at a very deep level so you can benefit maximally at all levels to assist you in making improvements in your lives and also to chart the roadmap for you to achieve your visions and aspirations. I think on that note, I now want to ask you to remain quiet Turn your consciousness inwards and close your eyes for opening invocation. God of our hearts, God of our realization, creator of all living things everywhere and father of human beings, our hope for years to come, in whose consciousness we live, move, and have our being. We are eternally grateful for the very, very many blessings in our lives, particularly the opportunity of today of participating in the 2021 National Conference second day activities. We ask for your guidance, your presence, while we are here working in harmony with the ILOs. We pray that the presentations this weekend will assist us to improve our lives and better prepare for more service to thy glory, to the good of common humanity, and to the evolution of our soul personalities. May the grace of God and the benediction of the masters be in us, around us, within us, now and always. So mote it be. At this point, I will now hand the token to the moderators.
Thank you very much, Pastor Sam. Moving forward, we have our first lecture for today, entitled Economic Survival in Post-Pandemic Era. And this will be taken by Alfred. Please.
Alfred Idiodi is a procurement specialist, a commodity trader, and an oil and gas executive. He is currently the managing director of Forhack Solutions Limited, an upstream oil and gas procurement services company, but also sits on the board of a fertilizer blending company, a haulage/logistics firm, and a financial services consortium. He is a director and chief operating officer for Ready Limited, the managers of thejob.com that is dedicated to putting Nigerians back to work using technology, analytics, and cutting-edge recruitment solutions. He is also the in-country lead consultant for Cochlear Limited, the global leader in implantable hearing solutions in Nigeria and co-founder of Cochlear Implant Foundation of Nigeria, CIFON. Alfred holds a bachelor's degree in economics and statistics and is a Cisco certified network associate, CCNA, and an Oracle database administrator. His experience and skills set cuts across, let me take that again. His experience and skill set cuts across banking, hospitality, debt recovery, agro-allied services, human resources advisory, procurement, international trade and finance, as well as deal structuring. His love and flair for SMEs has seen him through his wealth of experience and expertise behind several startups, both as a management consultant and an investor. Alfred has been a deputy ranks from junior order of third bearer to a light bearer and now a part of our beloved order. He is happily married with children. Distinguished Frater and Sarah's beloved light bearers, let's welcome Frater Alfred Idiodi.
Thank you, Titi, for the introduction. Good morning, everybody. And happy Easter celebrations in advance. It gives me joy to be here today to share my thoughts, on the topic, economic survival in the post-pandemic era. Let me start also by thanking previous presenters, for lots of thought-inspiring and provoking presentations that were held yesterday, cutting across various fields. They have made my job easier because they touched on areas very critical to us, and the times of what we are going through, not just in Nigeria, but in the world at large. I'm sharing my screen now. We'll start by giving an overview of what I'll be presenting today. So today we'll talk about briefly on the COVID-19 pandemic and economy. We'll talk about the Nigerian pandemic, trends brought about by COVID-19, effects of the pandemic, businesses that were hit by the pandemic and those that also survived. We'll throw some light on the new economy. We would also discuss how students, job seekers, businessmen can survive and thrive, post-pandemic. We'll look at various investment options that COVID-19 has brought about. And we'll also conclude by some tips and rules for well-being and success. And we'll have closing thoughts. So what we aim to achieve from this presentation, at least by the end of this presentation, we should also understand, our current realities, some ideas and recommendations to help us thrive in the post-pandemic era. We'll talk about that too. We'll also see that we can prove that by tackling various dimensions, of this crisis, we stand a chance of coming out even stronger, and we'll identify some survival and restraint principles and tips that may assist us in our well-being. Now, when Fatasam contacted me some weeks ago that I'll be talking about how to survive post-pandemic, I was like, wow, this is a topic that I myself am looking forward to hear from other persons. But I said, if I was able to survive, my business thrived, let me share my thoughts on how I did it. I don't have all the answers, but from what I will say today, you can start to understand how to go about certain things if at all this happens again, and how to prepare yourself to start to live and thrive post-pandemic. We'll run down some numbers. Just about a year ago, the WHO characterized COVID-19 as a pandemic. At that point in March last year, we had about 3 million cases and 207,000 deaths. Then fast forward 1 year after, it's at March 31st, 2021, there were 129 million cases, 73 million recoveries, and 2.8 million deaths. These are scary numbers, but the world went through a lot over the past 1 year. Here in Nigeria, our case wasn't as bad as other parts of the world, but we also hit, by the pandemic. We had about 163,000 cases as at March 31st, and about 2,000 deaths. Even these numbers are scary, but we thank the cosmic for grace, for health and happiness. And we pray that those that passed on during this period, their soul personalities will progress in peace profound. I'll be sharing some next couple of slides, after these numbers, and I want us to have this at the back of our mind, that every problem is a business opportunity. I know that Christian spoke about this yesterday, but it's good that as I share these slides, you look at the issues that brought about or that came about as a result of this pandemic, and you start to identify that if I knew this before then, or if I handled things differently before then, or saw things differently, how would I have keyed into the effects of the pandemic to assist my business or assist my investments, and make some money, as the case may be. So COVID-19, as we all know, brought about loss of life, brought about reduced productivity, brought about economic paralysis. There were job losses everywhere, business closures, people shut down their businesses. There were trade disruptions, drop in oil prices, skyrocketing foreign exchange. That's dollar went up from about 350 to 500. It came down. Oil price also dropped to even negative. The countries were even paying people to pick up their oil. So it went into negative amount. Lots of insecurity. There was low disposable income. For households. School shut down. Students didn't go to school for a while. After there were some online learning programs, but those are one of the effects. There was decimation of our tourism industry, hotels and the rest shut down. There was fear and panic everywhere. People couldn't cough. People didn't know what to expect. So this was what happened. This was the effects of the COVID pandemic. As you see these effects, I'll let you know that lots of persons were able to key into most of these effects and better their businesses. We'll take a look at that as we go through the presentation. There were various trends that COVID-19 brought about. There were trends of lockdown, curfew, quarantine, social distancing, remote working, flexible working arrangements, contact tracing, face masks, sanitizers. These are the trends. We began to hear new words. There were also conspiracy theories. It was caused by 5G. They were cheap. People want to bring some chips for vaccination into us. So these are the trends that the world is now living with. Some parts of the world are still in curfew, some are still in lockdown, and this is still affecting us, as we progress. Look at some businesses that actually were worse hit by the pandemic. Airlines didn't fly. One year, the transport sector also shut down, hotels were shut down, schools shut down, restaurants and bars, nightclubs, $4.5 trillion as a result of the pandemic. These are income that would have been distributed to other sectors. So you wonder, how do people survive? How do people survive if you were into the airline business? How did you survive? If you had a school or a hotel or a bar, how did people survive? So these are the questions that people were asking, and these industries were worse hit by the pandemic. But also, in as much as some industries were hit, some survived, some thrived, some made lots of money. E-learning, made lots of money. Health and pharmaceuticals made lots of money. Logistics, for instance, made lots of money. People were, there were people that went into deliveries of various items. E-commerce made lots of money. Lots of online items were being sold since you couldn't contact people, physically. Communications and information made lots of money too. MTN, for instance, posted their largest profits, last year. Remote working tools like what we're using now, Zoom, Skype, Microsoft Teams, they all made lots of money because this is the new normal as we're seeing it now. Digital marketing companies also made lots of money today, and they strive and they survive. Food and drink vendors. I try to share these slides with us so that we can get to understand that there are certain sectors that would survive and thrive even when there is a pandemic, and see how, in our individual and collective ambitions, we can strive to see how we can align ourselves with industries that will thrive irrespective of what is going on in the society. That being said, COVID has been with us for the past 1 year, no doubt, but Nigeria has a unique unique situation. Even before COVID, I can say that we were somewhat in a pandemic. They're not caused by health or an infectious disease, but caused by a couple of factors, which I would quickly run down in our next slide. And I want to also you to have at the back of your mind that the initial slide I said, in every opportunity, in every problem, there is a business opportunity. So if we are looking at the Nigerian pandemic, during the next slide, see areas that you can come in, and support and solve a problem and start a business from these areas. So I'll take a rundown on the Nigerian pandemic. I call it this because these issues have bedeviled our nation for lots of years, and lots of these issues cause even more deaths that were recorded by COVID-19 in Nigeria. For instance, poverty is ingrained, in our economy. Nigeria is currently the poverty capital of the world. It's over 90 million people living in an area that is a pandemic to me here in Nigeria. Unemployment is 40%, for youth between ages 18 to 25 years, and 33.3% of the workforce is also unemployed. That is a pandemic to me. Insecurity and terrorism, an issue that we are facing. Bad leadership, poor education. We have the most children out of school in the world. issues pertaining to corruption, poor infrastructure, poor healthcare, inequality, ethnicity. These are issues that affect the very existence of Nigeria. And in as much as we want to see how we can strive to live, post-pandemic, these issues are still here with us. So I went to give a link between, the global pandemic of COVID-19 and the Nigerian pandemic, right? So that we can see that even before COVID came on board, our lives were not any better. Most of our dreams and aspirations, we couldn't achieve them, but COVID has fast-tracked lots of things, has opened lots of opportunities, for us to actually key in and also strive. So I will be breaking down my presentation, into how students can thrive, post-pandemic, how the job pandemic, and how also businessmen or entrepreneurs can also strive post-pandemic. So we'll take on the students, and I have some thoughts, because being a student is, when it comes to forming financial habits, this is the best time to actually do that. So if you want good financial habits, you must start developing them while you're young. So as a student, it is good that you start to develop financial habits right from school. If you think you want to be the Bill Gates of this world or the Mark Zuckerberg of this world, you have to strive to see how you can start when you're young, start when you're a student, and that will guide you even when you become an adult and you start working. So I'll share some tips, for how a student can strive and survive in a post-pandemic situation, or even here in Nigeria. My first point is create a budget. That this is very key to not just to students, but to everyone. If you're going to school, you have a budget that you can write down all your expenses that you think you would have that year and see how you can budget them, and that should guide you throughout your process here in school. So create your budget before you go to school, list out all the items that you spend money on and start to knock them off one by one if you see that they're not important to you. Money is not the way money was, before the pandemic. It's not the way it was now. So you have to see how you can work with a budget, because cash flow is not as it used to be. Kill off bigger expenses. As a student, your biggest expense should cut across maybe rent, maybe transport, maybe feeding. These are expenses that you can see how you can kill off. If you were in a room alone by yourself, why not try to see how you can split that rent between yourself and a friend, and you can share that expense. If you are going to school and thinking that you have to spend money on transportation, long distances, try to see how you can even get things like a bicycle. It's quite funny, but this is what it is now. You have to see how you can limit your budget, and look for ways to cut it down, accordingly. For food and feeding, yes, lavish habits, you may have a large appetite to have, but see how you can work within your skill set and your budget. You mustn't go to lots of expensive places now. You mustn't go to lots of prime restaurants. Feed well, eat it well, but look at your budgets and try to work within it. Create an emergency fund is also an aspect that students should also look at as working on. It's most of us just spend money without having something stashed aside. If it means you giving a friend money to keep for you, or having it in, as I said, in some investment apps, there are lots of them that you can actually key into. The Piggy Vest, you can put money in there for another 30 days. You make some money from it. I will show you some options, towards the end of the slide on how you can, save money using some investment apps and create a fund for the rainy day. Lifestyle changes, this is an aspect, that is very important that students should try to cut down on. Lots of frivolities, hanging out with friends, that should cut down. If you have dependency on maybe alcohol, those are things that are money guzzlers. Try to cut down on those expenses. If you're into fashion, you want to buy new clothes all the time, these are not the times for that. These times are uncertain. So try your best to see how you can cut down on that. Ladies are looking at human hair, bone straight hair, things along that line. There's really no need for things like that now. Stick to your budget and see how you can manage and accommodate what you have. Then also learn to invest. from school. You think this is how you start learning those habits. Learn to invest. There are lots of apps, as I said earlier, I would talk about with as little as 1,000 naira, 2,000. You can put in something and invest in some stocks and the rest. Look at that also. Look for discount deals in purchases. Of course, there are lots of Black Friday, going on, in the world, lots of summer sales and the rest. Those are things should guide you. If you have your eye on a dress or a shoe, you wait for it to a point where it is cheap and affordable, then you can key in. Then also earn extra more money. Get a side hustle. These are things you can do right from your school days. There are ladies who are good in makeup, for instance. Personally, you do a good makeup, so why not pass that skill, or see how you can make money from that skill for your friends, your associates, your family. If there are events, say, well, I can do your makeup for you. You earn an extra income. If you're a guy, you have a car. Nothing stops you from saying, okay, maybe I can use it sometimes to do Bolt or Uber, just to bring in some money this period. You have a skill in school, web design. You can see how you can start to do some small web designs for either your friends' business or your friends' family friends business. Try to see how this is how it also starts. You can gradually learn these skills, and people will always want to actually support you, because you won't charge as much money as maybe the experience of it will charge, but you can try to hone your skills by getting this side also. You can become an online vendor too. Get some clothes, sell some shoes. These are things that along the line you can yield to bring in extra income as a student. The times are difficult now. Even if your father is giving you pocket money, your mom giving you pocket money, it might not be as it used to be before, because the businesses your parents also have been affected by the pandemic and start to make money on your own right from your school days. Facebook began from school, and look at what it is to today. So there are lots of ideas that you can start from when you are in the university or as a student and earn some income from there. We'll take on the job seeker next. There are persons who either finished school a while ago and we're looking for jobs, but of course, COVID struck. How do you survive? How do you get a job? How do you survive and get your finances in order? Within this period. So I have a small quote for you. I call them random musings. I've been sharing them, right from when I began the presentation. So I'm looking at what skills are you honing, that will make you employable, make you stand out. That Rosita spoke about this a lot yesterday, and also I think Fatajo too. So I won't spend so much time on this. You can fall back on the presentation and see how you can improve your skill sets to make yourself more employable. But what you need to know is that times are changing, so you need to also change with the times. That's why my first point of call here is be flexible. It's lots of opportunities are out there also changing too. You might want to be working in a bank or working in an oil and gas company. That's your dream. But if you see that the times and what is available to you now, it's a job maybe for a HR officer in some company or admin officer in an upcoming startup, you can grab that, learn on the job, while you are there, try to improve your skills, reflect on your career paths too. I have lots of persons that I've met, I've also interviewed in my course of some of my businesses, and I see that but a biochemist is applying, to work in a HR firm. A lawyer is applying to work in some other company because they have seen that, okay, why if I'm waiting, to get a job that fits my own skill set or my own career path, how will I? You can change your career path. It doesn't mean that what you read in school, that's what you must do. So reflect on that too and see how you can use this time of changes in the pandemic to key into areas that are in vogue now of some shots. If you see my own profile, I had CCNA, Oracle, because then that was a trend, and I saw that I needed those skills, to get into some certain industries and make myself relevant. So COVID-19 has brought about lots of opportunities that you can key into. Create a budget. That's also something that I spoke about last time. Stick to your budgets. separate your wants from your needs, chop sheep. These are things that the job seeker needs to also put into perspective, since they are looking for a job, taking of loans too. That's also something that you should see how you can cut down on in this period. It's not, I'm not saying you shouldn't take loans, but be mindful, because you may have some projections that in the next few months or weeks you may get a job that might not come. How do you pay back? Don't get desperate. Avoid quick money making schemes. They're all desperate looking for a job. It's then your friend use it to maybe MMM or some MBA Forex. You not throw your money in there, and you can see what happened to all those other schemes. So try to see how you don't get desperate. I know it's tough, it is challenging, but avoid such schemes and see how you can get solid and risk-free or minimum risk investments. Consider rent-free living. That's all another aspects. You might want to look for a job. Your friends who you finish school with have moved on, they have jobs, living with, living on their own. You might think, okay, well, why can't I also get a place? But be stable. Look for that stability first before you jump into, there's nothing wrong with staying with your parents for a while. They like having us around. They will support you, or a friend. Depending when you get off your own feet. Explore freelance and remote working opportunities is also very key. The times have brought this. Well, lots of part-time jobs you can actually do. Lots of freelance jobs you can actually make some money by the side, depending when you get a permanent job. I met somebody earlier on who she says she consults she's a customer service for a job shop in America, and they pay her some money, every week for the work that she does. People have 3 or 4 of such opportunities. You can key into that and see how that can be done. Update and improve your skill sets. I won't run on this so much. Online courses are out there on LinkedIn, Coursera, Udemy. Try to improve your skills while waiting for that job. So see how you can key into various trends. It's a good thing that you develop your skill sets. Where we all at home last year, you didn't just sit at home watching TV or chilling. Many of us try to improve our skills. We had online courses. We learned a lot. So while waiting for a job to come, see how you can improve your skill sets in that regard. So we move into the employed. The employed are persons who are presently employed. How can they survive, in a pandemic situation? And my first random reason here is spend less than you earn. This is a simple rule. It's the most difficult rule, but it's quite apt. If you want to improve and sustain your finances. So most people, they already, before the salary comes, they have spent their money already. And at the end of the day, they have nothing to actually live on. So it's a rule that you should have: spend less than you earn. If you're earning some money, try to ensure that you spend less than you earn. All right. So once again, skill set is also here to align your skills with recent realities. This is what is very key. Many of us, or some people in some industries, their jobs went obsolete after the pandemic, because most employers just saw that, okay, if I can work with 2 or 3 staff, why do I need a whole office? But if you're someone who had a skill that was relevant, to the times, then you must have stayed on board. I have interviews with lots of persons. Okay, where I was working before, I was retrenched. Why? Okay, we were 10 of us in the office, and they retrenched 4 of us. Okay, why were you part of the 4 that were retrenched? And they said, I don't know, maybe your skill sets didn't fit what was needed in the company. So irrespective of whatever you think you are doing, the times are changing. The new normal is here. Try to update your skills to suit the recent realities. If you're a banker, for instance, working in some industry, you should be wary of the fact that things are changing. Most people don't really go to the bank anymore. They do online transactions. In the next 5 or 10 years, they might not be a physical person in a bank. So think about, okay, if I'm here, how can I add some skills and change with the times? Review your spending. That's also good. You have a budget of what you spend. What are those things that take your money from you? Every day. Do you go out often? Are you a fashion freak? You shop always? Do you club always? You have lots of girlfriends? Review your spending. Cut down on all this, and this cuts across not just job seeker, but from the student to the employed, and even the job seeker. So always see ways you can review your spending. Get a side hustle. That's what people are saying now, look for ways that you can make extra income, because nothing is certain now. Nothing is certain. So always try to get an income. As I said, Uber, I have friends who work in the bank in Lagos. Yeah, they're younger friends, but they live on the mainland. And coming home, they drive from VI all the way down to Ikekeja. And nothing stops you from having an app. Uber, okay, I can make some money with some persons way back home. So try to get a set up. If you have a skill, for you're working for a web design firm. I'm not saying that you should start to compete with your own company because you're being paid for that job. But things that you have a passion for. I have ladies who are lawyers, HR professionals. They cook food for friends every weekend. You can get that as a side hustle. If they bake cakes. If you're a good baker, your first point of call is your colleagues in the office, birthdays of their children or of their family members, wedding events. They should come to you. So these are things you can play around. What I won't support or ask you to do is get a hustle that is in direct competition with your company. If your company is into web design and you're meant to market clients, then you start to now do the same business by the side. That's not what I'm saying. But use your passion to make some extra income. Save at least 20% of your income. If you're earning 100,000 naira, at least 20,000 should be saved somewhere for the rainy day. Invest 10%. Yeah, this is hard for most of us to do, but no matter how small, 10,000, throw it in some stock here, throw it in some investment here. I'll show you some options, as I said, towards the end of how we can apply, finances, no matter how small, to make some money. Join a reliable cooperative. This is also quite good in your workplace. Try to see how you can join a cooperative. It's a way of also saving money too. When I was in banking, then we had lots of cooperatives that would join 4, 5 of us, and you take your money in some months' time. It also helps you to also save. Grow your network. This is also very key. Networking, as I say, determines your net worth. So try to see how you can grow a network of friends, of associates, of people that can mentor you. And with some of this, you see how you can start to survive, post-pandemic. Moving to our next point of call, the businessman and the entrepreneur. How are we surviving? How are they surviving? And my next random musings on this is one of my best sayings. Turnover is vanity, profit is sanity, cash flow is reality. The only way that I see that those of us in business can survive is to see how you can always and constantly improve your cash flow. It is very, very, very key. Or have multiple streams of income coming in. That is one way that you can do that. So we just run down some points quickly. And as I said, the first point of all, every problem is a potential business opportunity. It is what should guide every businessman. See how you can key into problems that are around your environment to make some money and to improve your business. Personally, I did lots of this during the pandemic. I mostly supply items to oil and gas companies, but oil went down. Businesses were short. Oil was negative. There were no orders coming in. So how do we survive? So I told my staff, what other businesses use the same things that we do? And we pinned down some businesses, of course. We supply valves or pumps or bolts or flanges, and these things are used by breweries, used by cement companies, so we can diversify from oil and gas into those areas, and we began to have some orders from those sides. See ways you can key into the new economy. We'll talk about that on some other slide. What is the new economy all about? Find alternative ways to think of new problems. It's not all easy for people who are in business, but lots of us were affected. So try to see how you can transform your business to align it with current realities. Lots of people, for instance, who were tailors, and when this thing came on board, they began to sew face masks, for people and supply them. They made lots of money from there. If you see things going on, I give a list of trends of COVID-19. People made money from even lockdown, from being in quarantine. Somebody supplied oxygen, the gas tanks to various people. People made money from e-learning. So try to see how you can look at that. Forex was one key. Knowing that oil was down, people needed to know that dollar price will start to go up. Most people change all their naira into dollar and just waited for price to go up, and they sold. So those are ways to key in and see how you can diversify, your finances. Save for the rainy day. This affected a lot of us. Most people didn't save or didn't even think that COVID-19 will bring about such a shock. And when it came, we're out of business and there was no money. Create a sinking fund. Keep some money aside to take care of critical issues or allowances like this that will happen in future. It's good that no matter how you're making profits, try to say you can keep some money aside to take care of critical allowances. Restructure loans and renegotiate your contracts. These are things that you can also do too as a businessman. If you have loans from a bank, you can approach your bank and see how you can get better terms, knowing that throughout last year, nothing happened. I did that too for some of my loans from banks. I also did that for some of my own contracts. We had rent to pay for some offices. I told them that, well, we can't pay you a full year's rent now. Can I pay you quarterly? And of course, they all accepted that we can pay rent quarterly was the case. So everybody understands that times are hard. So try to see how you can use that, to your advantage. Take advantage of corporate and government-driven parity. This is also key. There are lots of government support coming on board now. Yes, you say, well, the Nigerian government, it won't work, is that mode, they might not, but people are accessing these loans from CBN, from Nigerian Bank of Industry. These loans are being accessed by them. There was even a scheme that the government paid some amount of money to your staff. If you had a firm and you didn't have money to pay your staff, they paid you. I think it was pegged at 50K per staff. But I know people actually access these things for the company. So there are lots of things that you can do. Embrace digital marketing. This is key. People were able to transform their businesses from physical to online, and lots of platforms helped us to support this. People were selling things on Jumia, selling things on Konga, were using the WhatsApp and Facebook marketplace. So these are areas that you can also do to improve your business, because in the next 5 or 10 years, people might not want to go into a physical shop. This is what is going on now. So see how you can transform and align your business to grow with the times. Cross-train yourself and your staff. It's also very key. You have a staff who is just doing just one thing. Try to ensure your staff learns the business, all aspects of it. Let them be able to handle multiple roles. So at least you don't have to employ somebody else to do some support. So if 2 or 3 people can do what 10 persons would actually do, that can help your business, from saving money for employment from new staff. Update yourself with new trends. That I was talking about earlier on, and I will take on the next slide, which are some survival tips in this pandemic. All right. So just to wrap up, my thoughts on how to survive, cutting across the student, the job seeker, the employed, and the businessman. These are some tips that we can actually go with and live by, that will guide us. If you're not making money, cut your expense. That is the first rule of thumb. If you're not making money, cut expense. So you cut off lots of things, in your life, and I've spoken about that earlier on. Don't depend on financial projections. Many people fall trap to this. Oh, I'll spend this money now. Maybe I'm looking for one contract. Let me buy this brand new car or buy this clothes or have this trip, thinking that money will come, and it never comes. COVID-19 has showed us that anything can actually happen. So don't depend on it. Try to see how things. People took lots of positions, as I said earlier on, between December, January, February, and March last year, in preparation for what will come. People knew that there will be a lockdown. There will be face masks, will be scarce. Hand sanitizers will be what? So people cleared all those things. They were able to align themselves to. So why can't we be in the same position to think about that? Live in the now, but plan for the future. Multiple streams of income. This is also very key to us. Have things that give you money. You have 3 or 4 cars at home. Nothing stops you from putting 2, either as a car hire or this. Those are assets that don't bring money to you. See how you can unlock those assets to give you income. A report I read some months back, they said Nigeria has $100 billion locked in real estate. The money is locked there. People are having houses in Ikoyi, Abuja, VI, sitting down there, not making money for them. But if that money was unlocked and put into things like industries, the real sector, if those men that bought those houses for 500 million were able to create an industry that manufactures even soap, you're employing lots of persons, that money is working for you. So see how no matter what you have, you can look around you and have multiple streams. You have a spare room at your backyard, but you can rent that somebody, make some money on this. Don't only bank, on your income, on your salary. Try to see how you can bring in multiple, identify tangible investment options. We'll talk about that, towards the end of the slide. Also, if it's too good to be true, then it is too good to be true. Said by James Halley Chase. You will see companies that come and tell, okay, this is this investment scheme, returns every month 40%. It is too good to be true. And it is too good to be true because at the end of the month, twice, then it crashes. You have seen that with MMM, with LBA Forex, with lots of schemes. People made money from it, yes, but people lost money from it too. And my problem with that is that once you start to get involved in such schemes that give you high returns of 40%, you don't want to go into smaller schemes that give you, incomes of maybe between 10 to 20% because your mouth is so full and you are looking forward to making so much money. Have the startup mindset. This is what I think I tell every businessman. You should try to have and think as if your business is most of us, when we began our business, we were hustling every day, contacting, saying out memos, going out, networking. Then money came in, we had some business, and we just stopped. That should be your mindset always. Have that mindset of that you are still a startup and do things that you're doing. I've mentioned that earlier on. Try to improve your network. Have friends everywhere. They might not be your friend, but have some contacts. Have friends, Navy, Army, Police, Air Force. They're friends everywhere. Try to have friends in those regards, because you never can tell where you might need their help, in future. So I take on this one next, talking about the new economy, and I said people die, industries don't. This is very key to what we have to do. So we have the new economy. I know that I just spoke about them yesterday. This is the new economy. Some of them, there are more items on this line, but these are things that we should continue to see how we can strive to key into. E-commerce, remote working, schooling, digital marketing, AI and robotics. These are things that have come to stay with us now. And COVID-19 has fast-tracked, how these things will work and operate. So if you want to invest, you have some money, try to see how you can invest in any of these sectors. If you're looking for a job, see how you can look for a job in any of these sectors. If you're a student trying to learn some skill around this sector, because in the next 10 years or less, this is what will rule the world. So this is the new economy as we have it. I'm sure try to see how we can key into it. So I go next into time is already running up quickly. I go next into online investment options. But I have a small saying here that says money isn't everything, but happiness alone can keep you out of the rain. That's why investing is crucial to part of building wealth. Everybody must try to invest, no matter how small. When I have a few online investment options that you can all key into and help us. These are apps that are available on your phone. Google Play Store, iOS Store, and the web. You can go there, download them, do your research well, and invest in both local and foreign stocks by using these options. Some pay as much as 10 to 15% per annum, and you can invest with as low as between $10 to 1,000. As small as that, you can pay into that. So if your interest is in stocks or local and foreign currencies, you can have these apps to start to invest. We have also agricultural investments too. There's Farm Crowdy, there's Cowrywise. These are investments in maize, in poultry farming, cassava, soya beans. You can invest with as low as 20,000. You invest in maize, invest whatever your interest is. They have options that you can actually look at. If you're the one not for that, you want to just save more money, either fixed savings or target savings, you can use Piggyvest. And see how you can throwing some money there, and money is locked up for you there for 30, 40, 60 days, and you make some money on the side too. These are apps that are available on the App Store. You can see the ROI there is between 10 to 15%. Money market, if that's what interests you, there's Payday by ARM. They are a top investment company in Nigeria. They have an app too that you can invest in, and you're paid quarterly. Quite very, very, very secure. You can look at it too and see how you can make some money from investing in various sectors. If you're interested also in treasury bills, we have treasury bills now at your fingertip. iInvest does that for you. You can also invest in treasury bills. It's the most secure and lowest risk investment opportunity that you can see. It's as low as 100,000. You can buy treasury bills from the government. So you can download iInvest, do your research well, and that can help you start investing. If I still have time. Fint is also an online investment platform for peer-to-peer lending. If you are somebody who likes to give out loans to persons, you have extra money, you can download this app and see how you can be giving loans out with various with returns on investment. These are all available online on the iOS and App Store. I think maybe when they share my slides with participants, you can actually see what these apps are all about. And if you're interested, you can actually go ahead and run an investment. So as I've said here, please do your research extensively. These are apps that I've used and they work for me, but do your research extensively before investing. Next, we go into, I think, talking about some ROC tips for well-being and tips that have guided me. So these are tips that have helped me in my own life, in my own, to thrive, to survive in my business, right from when I was a student. Now I am working. It's not been also rosy and good, but I've tried to see how I can have a little time trying to change your external conditions. Instead, work on changing your internal, and your external will change accordingly. This is one of the teachings of order that you can actually imbibe in your life. Most of the things that happen to us are based on our mindsets, our perception. So try to change your internal conditions, and you see that things around you will start to change and align, with what you want. So I have some tips here for well-being and success. Said that the human mind is like an alarm clock. You can preset it to act that way. So if you have when you wake up in the morning, what do you do after your prayers? What do you have? Things you do every day. So I have a ritual. I wake up in the morning, I attune, because that's what appeals to you. I say small prayer, I drink some water, I do exercise. So structure your life in a way that it flows with your daily ritual. Have a mantra is also very key for you. Mine is good things keep happening to me always. I say it all the time. No matter what it is, I just tell myself good things keep happening to me always. And you start wondering that around you, good things will start happening because your mind has assigned it that way. Creative vision, this is very key. One of the backbones of our order. Try to create what you want, in your mind's eye before your day starts. See it end to end. How do you want your day to go? What if you're going for business, going to school? Just run through it. The first few times it's quite difficult for you, but once you run through it, and this is how I want my day to go, and it will, after some trials, each time your day goes that way. It's not easy. You have business dealings, you have a problem, you have issues you want to solve. Try to see how you can create those solutions in your mind's eyes, and align yourself that way. Attune also, daily with the success anthem is also very, very key. It's the greatest tool that we have. Most people don't take advantage of it, but try to always attune, daily if you can. They have sessions here in the park. You try to see how you can align yourself with those times, and you key in and you see that ideas start to come, issues start to come, issues that you have will start to be resolved. And you can see the effects of that. Positive thoughts, you can't overemphasize that. It is the bane of all that we do. Yes, you cannot say that you don't have some negative thoughts, but if you have some negative thoughts, try to cancel it out right away. you think of something bad, you can just think of, and you want to just say, well, I will always think positive thoughts and try to align it yourself to always think positive. Deep breathing is also very key. It is one of our greatest. Try to breathe. Every morning, you breathe in, breathe out, clear your lungs, taking your inspiration and to guide you. Practice contentment. It is what is very key to us. And most of us don't practice it, but I think some of our issues also strives from this contentment. I had a driver earlier on, he was earning maybe like 50,000. He has 6 kids and he took care of all of them. He was very, very contented with his lifestyle, with his own. And I saw that, he told me that he had a house that he was trying to build. Yeah, so even in that, he was contented, never angry, never happy. Also try to be content with what you have. Yes, you might, visualize, focalize for something and it doesn't come, but think about other things that have come, that have come to your life. You have good health, you have happiness, your kids are healthy and strong, you can fend for yourself. So be thankful for the things that are not there. You mustn't make, lots of money before you can be happy. Money doesn't bring happiness. So attend convocation. This is also very key. The book says, don't forsake the gathering of brethren. So try as you can. Go to your AB, attend. Those sessions. It aligns you with the goal of our order. And also, majority of students deal with mental exercises, but physically, try to go out every day, 30 minutes walk. Walk about, because if you're not strong physically, then your mental side also doesn't work for you. So try to also do that too. Life is not a competition. This is also very key. Lots of pressures on us from the world. We are competing with our friends, with us to say, oh, this one just bought a car, I want to buy a car too. These are things that nobody is chasing you to achieve those. Even if you strive to achieve something, and it doesn't come. As onto the ground says, God knows our heart wishes, He knows our desires, and often in mercy, He denies our requests. So it's not your time. Take it easy. Don't compete with your colleagues or your friends. Your time will actually come. Service, this is key. Christian spoke about it yesterday too, and as Gio always says, service is the rent that we pay for the space we occupy in God's territory. So we should be of service. What are you doing to be of service, not just to your family or your friend, but to mankind? Try to join at your lodge. What are you doing of service there in your office, in your daily lives and your dealings? What service are you rendering, to a society? Amra, this is key. Amra opens the flow. It's who gives that receives. So you must try to see how you can practice Amra, in various forms, not just giving monetary Amra, which, if, for instance, I visualized it, being constructed, throw your thoughts behind it, you send out healing thoughts to the world. Do you see somebody on the street who is sick? You send some thoughts to those persons. Those are things that, aid us for well-being and to success. If you pray for the world, what happens to you? If God's blessing is passing through you to the world, of course, you also be blessed. So try to see how you can give Amra in various ways. People do 10% of their profits, always. That can be done of their income that they make. See how you can have something. So if you're not, they want to give 10%, there are lots of issues around. Children without mother, children out of school. Do you sponsor them once in a while? If God has blessed you, find a way to bless others with what you have, because Amra opens the flow for good things to come in. I would somewhat end my closing thoughts on, a saying that nothing cannot give rise to something. This should guide us, in all that we do, as a student, as an employed person, as a businessman. What do you have in your hand? You are focalizing and you have no skill. What are you praying for? What seeds have you sown? Add my light to your light, which is the LBA. And what lights are you adding to the light of the world? So you must strive to see how we can have something. All right, if you're praying to God for a business endeavor, don't just say, God, I want a business endeavor, but what business, what skill do you have? You know, if as you press buttons spiritually, also press buttons physically, God won't come down to do the work for you. You must strive to press those buttons physically by having something in your hand, because nothing, as I say, cannot give rise to something. So thank you. Maybe all going to keep the light shining. All light bearers, thank you for your time. I think after the next session, will be questions and answers.
Please, a round of applause for our facilitator, Dr. Alfred Idioli. Please, do not forget, save at least 20% of your income. Invest at least 10% of your.
Just on it.
And
What?
if you have questions, kindly look below. You see the Q&A section. Click in, a dialog box will appear. Insert your questions and send. Thank you very much. Then we're moving to the next lecture for today, and this is safeguarding our mental health. This will be taken by Frata Bimbo.
Dr. Abimbola Oyedokun, popularly called Dr. Bimbo, is a healthcare management consultant with over 12 years of experience in managed care, medical diagnostics, e-health, health advocacy, and management consultancy. He is a lifelong member of the Rosicrucian Order Arm, progressing from Junior Order to Library Association and to full-fledged membership of the Order. He served as Secretary of the Library Association at Memphis Lodge, and later the National President of the Library Association. He is the Zonal Coordinator for the Library Association in Lagos Zone, a position he has occupied from his later years as a light bearer. He is currently the Managing Partner and Executive Director of Business Development at Q Plus Health Services. Since inception, the company has been able to establish itself as a credible and effective provider of health services for the corporate market. The company's services are broadly categorized into 4 groups: medical services, wellness, management consultancy, and e-health. Dr. Bimbo is active in the civic and political space, serving as Vice President Association, Lagos, Chairperson COA Party, Lagos, Treasurer Multiple Neighborhood Welfare Association. He's happily married to Kemi, and they have a son, Ademurewa. Distinguished fratres, sorors, beloved light bearers, let's welcome Dr. Abimbola Oyedokun.
Thank you very much, Nefertiti. Thank you very much for that introduction. Our worthy Grand Administrator, dignitaries of our order, fratres and sorors, distinguished alumni. It's my pleasure to have been asked to speak to us today on safeguarding our mental health. And I'm now sharing my screen so that I can take you through the presentation. I'd like to appreciate everyone who has spoken during this webinar yesterday and today. Just like Alfred said, having people who have done such a great work before you makes your work easier when you have to speak at an event like this. So I'm going to go right into it, talking about safeguarding our mental health. And so this is an outline of what we're going to be discussing. First, we'll try to give ourselves some context, and that is to know why are we talking about this. And then we'll look at mental health as a component of overall health. And then we'll look at safeguarding your mental health. What will a health professional say to you? And then we will also look at what a mystical student knows or has access to. We'll discuss a conclusion, I'll share references, and then we'll have the opportunity to go into a question and answer session. So, starting with context, why are we talking about this? Why are we talking about safeguarding mental health? It's very simple. I remember mommy talking to us on day one and saying, reminding us that by this time, by this time of the month of Easter, we would already be having Easter rice in Calabar, and we'll be seeing old friends. Everyone will be happy, gisting, and all that. So why are we talking about mental health now? Well, it's the same reason why we didn't get to eat our Easter rice this year and last year, and it is the pandemic. The pandemic has come, and it has accelerated many changes that were, shall we say, latent or incipient before now. So it has sped up a lot of things for good and for what we as human beings would perceive as being bad. Of course, as mystical students, we should realize that nothing is more than what you make of it, really. There's no such thing as a bad or a good thing. It is what do you make of those things. Of course, that had a dramatic effect on everything and everyone. I think that is the defining aspect of the last 1.5 years. It's the drama. The fact that it's all been so dramatic and all been so quick. Changes that normally would take 10 years, we've experienced them in a few months. So a question for us all to ponder. I usually, if we were doing this in person, I usually would have loved to, take a break and ask the question, but I know this is tough to do in a digital format. But I want us all to think about it. Without the pandemic, would mental health be a concern for all of us? I don't know what the answer is, but I think we should all stop, take a second or two to think about that and answer that question. So if there was no pandemic, would I be bothered? Will I think, or will I worry about my mental health? We'll talk about what our answers probably will be as we reflect later on. Okay, so now we're going to talk about mental health as a component of overall health. And you can see a graphic showing on the screen, which shows you the various components of overall health. There is emotional health, which talks about coping effectively with life, creating satisfying relationships. Financial health, feeling satisfied with your current and future financial situations. Alfred talked a lot about that earlier on. Social health, developing, that's the social aspect to health or dimension to health, where you have a sense of connection or belonging and support with others. Those of us who are fortunate enough to be light bearers, we have a very good platform to actualize our social well-being or social dimension of health. Spiritual dimension of health, which is discovering a sense of purpose and meaning in life. By the way, one thing I've noticed is, I'm not sure if anyone else will bear me out, is that in recent times, you find out that a lot of what you call mainstream health, mainstream publications and discussions now recognize the spiritual aspect of life, to the point of even recommending meditation as a therapy for people, which shows that there is some progress. Occupational dimension to your health, finding personal satisfaction and enrichment in your work. You need to be able, Christian Idiodi talked about Ikigai on day one of our seminar, where you need to be able to find somewhere where you fit in and where your contributions are making a difference. There's physical dimension of your health, acknowledging the importance of physical activity, nutrition, and sleep. There's the intellectual component of your health, recognizing your creative abilities and finding ways to expand your knowledge and skills. And then there's environmental, maintaining good health by finding pleasant, stimulating environments that support well-being. All of these, within this entire framework, is where you have your mental health. So you realize that when you ask about someone's health, how do you, if you heard that somebody wasn't feeling well, and then you now see the person, what do you say? You say, how do you feel now? And if you think about that feeling, where does feeling take place? Feeling takes place in your mind. So that tells you that how we feel is a function of our mental health. And even when something is wrong physically, we inquire through the lens of the mind. Now, mental health can affect every aspect of our life. I think this goes without saying, including physical function. I've given the example before of people who because of an issue in their mind, their bodies actually can become paralyzed. You have what are called psychosomatic manifestations, where a psychological effect or a psychological problem actually manifests as a physical deformity or a physical problem. And it's also important for us to think about, why has this particular crisis had such an obvious effect on mental health? For me, I think that one of the reasons for that is because of the fact that it has isolated us so much. It has affected so many dimensions of health that we normally don't pay attention to. For instance, physical, because limited movement; occupational, some people have lost their jobs, some people's job descriptions have changed rapidly; social, especially. Human beings were a social animal, and having limited social interactions actually affects us more than we can think. You find people craving. There's actually a medical term for it, where you have what is called skin hunger, where you crave the touch of other human beings. So for people who found themselves living alone especially in countries where there was a lockdown, during the period of the lockdown, that aspect of being away from other human beings, not being able to touch another person, was actually debilitating for people. Okay, so let's look at what we're discussing from the perspective of what a health professional will say to you. What would a health professional say to you about safeguarding your mental health? Of course, we're speaking in the, like I said, we're speaking in the context of the COVID-19 pandemic and what is going on. So what a health professional will say to you: first of all, limit your exposure to the news. So you realize that I remember growing up, new TV in Nigeria commenced at 4 or 5 p.m. and closed at 12 midnight. But nowadays you have 24 hours TV and you have 24 hours news, radio, TV, on the internet. You're constantly being bombarded. For instance, this morning, in the short period before this seminar has started, I've received on over 4 or 5 messaging platforms the death of a prominent Yoruba leader, Afenifere spokesperson. How many times do I really need to hear that somebody died before I realize that he died? So you have to limit your exposure to the news, because you might find yourself unwittingly becoming anxious. Your anxiety level may rise if you are being exposed. Yesterday, there was an attack. Somebody rammed into barricades at the US Capitol. And I mean, I switched on the TV and I'd heard the same piece of news about 3 times in 10 minutes. I changed to a sports channel. So you have to be very careful about your exposure to the news. Be very structured about how you consume information. So you have periods when you go to say, okay, what's going on in the world? What's the summary? What do I need to know now? And how do I process this? And then you move on to do other things. Don't get stuck on the news. Be very deliberate about how you spend your spare time. And even when you want to get some entertainment, I would recommend comedy over horror. That in itself sounds like a joke, but really, I don't think this period of this COVID-19 pandemic is any time for anybody to watch any horror movie. Nobody should recommend any horror movies to me right now. I've seen enough for quite a while. I'm going to deliberately go out to look for things that will make me laugh, things that I'm going to enjoy, things that I'm going to get excited about in a positive way. Because after all, the data or the subscription is coming from my funds. So I might as well spend my funds to make myself happy. Please double check social media content. Some Nigerian men of the cloth have gone viral in the last 2 or 3 days, claiming that people who take the COVID-19 vaccine are going to turn into vampires. They are going to be controlled by Bill Gates. And people will send this to you unsolicited. So you need to double check things that you believe on the internet. Because one, they tend to raise your anxiety level, which is negative, which has a negative effect on your health. That actually raises your cortisol levels in the body. Cortisol is a hormone that functions along with adrenaline in our fight or flight response. It keeps us ready. And if you overload your body with cortisol, you find that very soon you'll be wakefully tired. You find yourself wide awake, but you're tired because you are overloaded with stimuli. So you have to be careful of those things, because they actually do physical things in your body, as well as reducing levels of what is known as serotonin and dopamine, which are more like the enjoyment chemicals in our brains. So please limit your exposure to the news. It's medical advice. Next thing would be take care of yourself physically. Alfred hinted at this, and I was very glad he did so. If you can see the picture I'm using on this slide, you have a plate of fruits. There's a stethoscope somewhere there, so it's suggesting that this is good for your heart. You can see a skipping rope, bottle of water, and the tip of training shoes. These are some of the things you need to do to take care of yourself physically. During this period, please cut down refined sugar. Why? Because every time you take refined sugar, for instance, a bottle of a soft drink or cookies, those things that have concentrated, they give you what is called a sugar rush. They raise your blood sugar very, very quickly. That gives you a momentary sense of euphoria and energy, but then your body can quickly absorb that sugar because it's in an easily digestible or usable format. So what happens, you have the crash after the high. So it's like you're getting high on drugs. Literally, sugar actually touches the same receptors in your brain that cocaine does. So when you continue to dose yourself on refined sugar periodically, you're raising your blood sugar and dropping it, raising your blood sugar and dropping it. Your mood will also fluctuate with that, and then you find yourself irritable and tired very quickly. Apart from what it does to your pancreas and the risk of type 2 diabetes from that, eat more of green leafy vegetables. They have several good things that they do for your body, one of which is they raise the level of magnesium. And there's some research that suggests that the more magnesium you consume, the less likely you are to have headaches and certain other manifestations in the brain. Please get some sunlight every day. Sunlight is very good for your mood. Human beings have evolved to take these cues from the sun to tell us, okay, the day has started. So if you are staying in a dark, shrouded place, you don't get to see the sun much, you might find out that your mood is low. Make sure you expose yourself to the sun. We actually have restriction exercises that speak about standing before the rising sun. So it's not by accident. Sunlight also gives you vitamin D. And vitamin D is good for your bones. It's good for your immunity. It's even said to be good for protection against COVID-19 itself. So you have every reason to get some sunlight every day. While doing so, please maintain all safety protocols. I know a lot of us in Nigeria have decided that COVID has ended. It hasn't. It's still necessary for you to take precautions while you re-engineer your life to live normally under the new circumstances. Please sleep well. This is something I can personally tell you that I've had to watch out for myself, because working from home, doing everything you're doing at home, especially if you're lucky enough, fortunate enough to be able to set up your home office and you can work from home, you tend to forget that it's work. You're actually supposed to take breaks from it, and you should have your regular sleep cycle. So please make sure that you get at least 8 hours of sleep every day, despite the fact that you're working from home or you're studying from home, whatever it is you're doing from home. Make sure you get good sleep. It's a very important part of taking care of yourself. Exercise regularly. Physical exercise is also very good for your mind, and it gives you a boost. It boosts your sense of well-being, and as well as making your body run better in so many ways that we can't go into. Please avoid excessive alcohol use. I think one or two panelists already spoke about that today and yesterday. If you can avoid alcohol completely, please do. I'm in a unique position to talk about alcohol because, you know, I've been a teetotaler, I've been a serious drinker, and now I'm back to neutral. So I can tell you that you can get used to alcohol. You can also get used to being without alcohol. So you can cut down on your alcohol. It's really in your control. Yes. What other things will a health professional tell you? You'll say, talk to other people, reach out, communicate to people. Don't let the isolation of this period turn you into a recluse. So you can actually look through your phone book and say, who are my friends, my acquaintances, people I value their friendship, who I haven't spoken to in a long while, and call them. If you think the voice call is not good enough, you can do a video call nowadays. We're being forced to do video calls for work and for school. Might as well do it for your own mental health. Controlled vulnerability can be a strength. Let me explain what I mean by that. For your mental health, it's important for you not to always have to be the strong person who has no weaknesses. So you need to have one or two people to whom you can admit your insecurities, your fears, your anxieties, and who will understand and help to allay your fears. Sometimes just being able to communicate these things to people makes you feel better. So it's important for you to realize that there are no prizes for being a rock. You're a human being, and your vulnerability is part of your design. It's part of what reminds you that you're part of an interconnected network, which is humanity. So it's important for you to talk to other people, relate with other people. Please do the things you enjoy, whether it is an old hobby, whether it is whatever, anything that you enjoy doing, adjust for the present reality and do as much of it as you can. So I like to play football. I used to play football every Saturday before the pandemic struck. So what do? There's a ball in the house. So I just play keep you up is, I mean, what we call raising in Nigeria. Just raise the ball at home, skip at home, do the things that I enjoy. Try to learn a language. I'm learning Spanish on Duolingo. I think I've slowed down a bit on that in the last 1 or 2 weeks, but do the things you enjoy. Important for us to do that. Believe it or not, a medical practitioner will tell you to practice meditation. Yeah, you heard me right, meditation. It's now it's a prescription. It's a medical prescription nowadays. And what does it do? It helps you relieve stress. It nourishes your creativity. It allows you to focus clearly on the present so that you are not living in the past or the future. You are living in the present. You can work and affect the present. And a medical practitioner will tell you to ask for help when you need it. If you feel that, if you notice that issues with your mental health, your thoughts and your feelings are so out of sorts that it is affecting your physical or day-to-day function, then you need to ask for help. Speak to a doctor. Any doctor you know will be able to direct you to someone who can help. There's an NGO that I like to put people on there on social media, on Twitter, on Instagram at least. They're called Mentally Aware Nigerian Money. So you can follow them on social media. They have, you can reach out to them and then they can put you in touch with a therapist, someone who can talk you through issues you are having. This is for when you really are feeling overwhelmed and you're realizing that mental issues are giving you a problem in your everyday life. There's no shame in that. And it's one of the things that I like that Nigerians are gradually beginning to realize, that if you can stub your toe and then you put a plaster on it and it gets better, you can also heal your mind and recover, function in your mind when it is lost. So now, what a mystical student knows. First, I'd like to just quickly look at this image that is being displayed here, because I think for me, as Rosicrucian students, we're taught to internalize symbols and understand them. And if you look at this symbol, you can clearly see a rose. We know what a rose symbolizes for us. And you can see that that rose is on a cross-like structure that has thorns. And we also know what a cross symbolizes for us. And you can see bees going around the rose, buzzing around the rose. Those bees symbolize something: hard work. You need to work at keeping your own mind sane. And you can see what looks like waves in the farm in the background. Those waves symbolize the vicissitudes of life, the fact that we live in a tumultuous world. I mean, it has been that way for a long while. It probably will be that way for a long while to come. And that just tells you that it's part of what you have to surmount. And of course, the spider shows that there are some problems you have to overcome. There are some dangers you have to watch out for and overcome. So it's just an interesting symbol for us to look at. And there's a Latin max in there, dat rosa mel apibus. And I think that means that the rose gives honey to the bees. The fact that it gives honey to the bees are the ones who work for it. So that's just something to ponder, an image you can focus on and think about in the days ahead. So what are the things that a mystical student knows? We know that nothing happens except it is caused. So in every circumstance, including this pandemic and how the pandemic impacts on you, look for how your own actions and thoughts help to bring it about. Yes, I know. you are not the one that created a virus. I mean, you don't have the power to create a virus all the time anyways. You're not the one that initiated the pandemic. But what are the effects of the pandemic on you? What are the effects of the pandemic on your job, on your learning? What part do you have to play in those? What responsibilities do you have to accept in those so that you can move over that? Because once you recognize how your actions and your thoughts help to bring something about, you have the lever for changing that situation. You have a place where you can apply pressure and change things. Mystical student knows that change is constant and essential. So change is not something that happens only once in a while. It's always going on. And it is not an inconvenience. It is a law. It is the very law underlying the life we live on this planet. So once you understand that, you will always live in the present, which is what meditation is supposed to help you do. Once you are always aware that change is constant and essential, then you will yourself become an agent of change. So the fact that the economy is changing, the fact that how we learn is changing, the fact that how we earn money is changing, all those things, you won't spend 3 months moaning and complaining about, oh, this was not how it was before COVID. You will be actively keyed into the fact that this is the period we're in, and this is how things work now, and this is how things will work for me during this period. Now, each experience we have, this is a personal conviction I have, each experience that we have holds a lesson for us. If we don't learn the lesson, then we are risking repeating the lesson. And the more painful the experience is, then the more carefully we should dissect that experience and learn the lesson. Alfred was talking about having a sinking fund for your business to ensure that you have some funds to tide you over if something goes wrong. So if you have a business and your business has run into tough times because of the COVID-19 pandemic, then you really need to sit down and learn, what is this terrible experience I'm having right now? What is the lesson in it for me? Why is that relevant to your mental health? If you have truly learned the lesson, the next time this happens, you wouldn't have this kind of mental anguish because you will be prepared. Those who are prepared for things don't really spend a lot of their time in mental anguish because they were prepared. Detachment is another principle of the mystical students, which is that we need to understand that in reality, we don't own anything or anyone. We don't own our jobs. We don't own our family members. We don't own our citizenship of a country. We don't own anything. We are a spiritual being having physical, mundane experiences. Therefore, if you learn to hold less tightly onto some things, what the Yorubas would call that is, don't hold the world so tight to you. If you have a light touch, then you find out that things go better for you because you are less likely to feel the deep pangs of disappointment that come with pinning all your hopes on any particular thing or person or idea. Do what you can. And the emphasis, that's why do is in capital. Action. Let's have a bias for action. It's a very strong way to safeguard your mental health. If you have a bias for action, you find out that in the course of action, there's less time for terrible thoughts or disconcerting thoughts to come and attack you when you're busy, when you're functioning. Do what you can, where and how you can, to the best of your ability. And every time you finish a day, you will feel vindicated to say, yes, I've done my best today. Tomorrow is another day. There will be less space for thoughts, confusing thoughts or debilitating thoughts to creep into your mind. Okay, so incidentally, Alfred spoke about the daily routine, and I'm also speaking about it. It's not by chance, it is germane. You can see a picture of what a typical sanctum looks like. What is your daily routine? Having a daily routine, there's a reason why people who go into difficult professions are first given a routine. Join the armed forces today, one of the first things they'll do is they'll drill into you a time for waking up, making your bed, getting physically exercised, and at your duty post. The same way the order gives you a routine. Glass of water first thing in the morning has a purpose. Breathing exercises, negative, neutral, positive, they have a purpose. Meditation, celestial sanctum contact, especially celestial sanctum contact, it does something for you. it has a way of giving you this helicopter view that calms you. Because when you look at the universe, when you look at the earth from the universal point of view, nothing on earth can really be so burdensome to you. You realize just how small this place you are in. So if you have that view on a daily basis, it goes towards giving you some kind of calmness or equanimity of the soul. Please review your day before you go to sleep. These are things that sound they sound small, but they are very, very big building blocks of a successful day, which is a good way to safeguard your mental health. If each day you can say, I've ticked off these things on my bucket list, I've done these things that I'm supposed to do, you can go to bed with a feeling of satisfaction. You're less likely to wake up with anxiety. Glass of water last thing at night, celestial sound contact again. Review the Rosicrucian Code of Life regularly. There are so many things in it. I wanted to show the video, but I realized it's about 11 minutes. We don't have the time for that. In my presentation, I'll put a link to it on YouTube. You can check it on, look for it out on YouTube as well. There are so many things there that if you imbibe those things and you regularly practice those things, they become part of your character. They actually become your destiny. I'm going to round up by reading this beautiful poem called The Desiderata, written by Max Ehrmann, and he says, "Go placidly amid the noise and haste. Remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly. Listen to others, even the dull and the ignorant, they too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons, they are vexations to the spirit. If you compare yourself to others, you may become vain and bitter, but there will always be greater and lesser persons than yourself. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your own career, however humble. It is a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery. But let not this blind you to what virtue there is. Many persons do strive for high ideals. Everywhere, life is full of heroism. Be yourself. Especially, do not feign affection, neither be cynical about love. For in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is as perennial as the grass. Take kindly the counsel of the years, gracefully surrendering the things of youth. Not your strength or spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune, but do not distress yourself with imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. Beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe. No less than the trees and stars, you have a right to be here. Whether or not it is clear to you, the universe is unfolding as it should. Therefore, be at peace with God, whatever you conceive him to be. Whatever your labors and aspirations in the noisy confusion of life, keep peace with your soul. With its sham, drudgery, and broken dreams, it is still a beautiful world. Be cheerful, strive to be happy. Thank you very much, Writers and Sorrows, light bearers. These are some of the references, and we can have our question and answer session. Once more, thank you for the opportunity to speak on this topic during this program. I'll hand over back to the moderators.
All right, thank you so very much, Pratabiko. Really do appreciate. With a round of applause for that lovely presentation by Pratabiko. Do not forget, get down or cut down on refined sugar, get some sunlight every day, exercise regularly, ask for help when you need it, and review the Rosicrucian Code of Life regularly. And your questions will be attended to. Please keep them coming. Will be attended to after the third lecture. For now, we'll have to go on a short break.
Distinguished writers and sorors, beloved light bearers, before we commence or before we embark on that lead, Dr. Bimbo, please do us the favor by stop sharing. Thank you. So I would like to draw our attention to certain announcements. When we get back, we will be having Skill Acquisition 3 with its title E-Learning and Working from Home by Frater Promise Ayana So, and the Mystical Exercise, which is the overall body exercise by Frater Xavier Omoeka. And of course, our most worthy grant administrator will be speaking to us on the Grant Administrators Forum titled Mystical Life and Peace Profound. So we expect us to be here, not to just leave thinking we have gotten the substance out of the whole webinar. We would also like to appreciate the efforts of the following affiliated bodies for creating clusters for their members and light bearers. Akhenaten chapter, thank you very much. Eton Lodge, Kutumi Lodge cluster, they were present yesterday and even today. Ugedi Lodge, Talis Lodge, and Dabaye Amaso Lodge, they were also present and together yesterday and today. We have Centrum Lodge, Abuja, Apollonius Lodge here in Calabar, and Lotus Lodge, Eket. Thank you very much. We'll be expecting the attendance list as well from these clusters. And then we have here present our regional monitors and grant councillors from yesterday. They are present as well today. And we also have members from Cameroon. We have John Paul Nook. He joined us yesterday and he's still here today. So on this note, please stay with us. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in 3 minutes.
All right, welcome, light bearers and fratres and sorors. And that was the Rosicrucian Choir, made up of young leaders, young Rosicrucians, members of the Light Bearers Association. Okay, so for your questions, please keep them coming. We're expecting more. And it should be taken, just like I said, after the third lecture. Right now, we're moving to the third lecture, the skill acquisition, e-learning, and working from home. That will be taken by Frater Promise Ayana So.
Promise Chedozie and Ayana So is a graduate of Information Management Technology from the Federal University of Technology, Owerri, Futu, with specialization in remote sensing technology and aspects of telecommunications. Upon graduation, he delved into digital marketing to provide affordable advisory services and help small businesses and entrepreneurs drive sales, and this has witnessed remarkable success. Promise is an advocate of multiple income streams and currently engages in various businesses that can be done from the comfort of the home using tools like social media and telemarketing to actualize sales. These businesses include digital marketing training, multi-level marketing, and crypto investments, among others. In addition to these home-based businesses, he also works as business development manager and technical consultant for Flame Academy and Consulting Limited, a corporate training and financial consulting company. Promise was born into a Rosicrucian family, and this has been the driving thrust for service to the Light Bearers Association and the Rosicrucian Order. He has gone through the ranks from Junior Order of Torchbearers to a Light Bearer, and of course, a frater of our beloved order. He has served as treasurer, vice chairperson, and chairperson of the Light Bearers Association in Sacred Light Lodge, Lagos, as well as Light Bearers Association chairperson for the Lagos zone in 2008. He also served as National Public Relations Officer of the Light Bearers Association in 2011. Promise currently affiliates with Lagos Island Chapter, Lagos, and currently serves as Secretary in the Board of Trustees for Lagos Island Chapter. He is an avid lover of astronomy and has spent over a decade studying this knowledge area in a bid to understand the movement of the heavenly bodies and their influence on humanity. Promise also has a deep-seated interest in politics and common sense economics and is working on an initiative called Thinking Cap, a future non-profit organization with focus on endearing youth in Africa to their responsibilities in politics and nation building. While developing this initiative, Promise utilizes social media platforms to air his views on topical issues in the world to stimulate people towards engaging these issues constructively. Promise is currently undergoing a flight operations officer's course with Javi Aviation in Lagos towards a flight dispatcher license FDL by the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority. He looks forward to successfully combining his passion for aviation with those of advertising/digital marketing, real estate, and farming simultaneously. Distinguished fratres and sorors, beloved light bearers, please welcome Frater Promise Chedozie Ayana So. Promise, we're waiting. Promise, we can't hear you. you.
How about now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry about that. All right, Wadi Ground Administrator, dignitaries of our order, fratres and sorors, Libera alumni members, Libera members, up Liberas. Okay, once again, my name is Ian, as I promised, and I'm grateful for this opportunity to be sharing my thoughts with you on online learning and working from home. But before then, I would like to spare some moments and appreciate all those who spoke before me. Between yesterday and now, I've had my attention closely glued to my screen because of the quality of the topics as well as the resource persons. Believe me, you all have made my job very, very easy. Now, as somebody coming from, as somebody that works for a consulting firm, I can assure you that this combo we've had to learn between yesterday and today doesn't come cheap. Trust me. So today, Frater Alfred Idiodi, basically, he made my work very, very easy because some of the things I shall be talking with you about now, he has actually talked about them. But hopefully, I'm going to add a different dimension to it. And of course, that's why we are having this skill acquisition session. Okay, now basically the COVID-19 outbreak started sometime in 2019 in December. Before then, we all had these normal processes to life and all that. But just like an unplanned switching of gears, it stopped a lot of the normal processes which we are used to. I always take exception to say that the experience of COVID-19 in Africa is quite peculiar in the sense that before the lockdown was imposed, we were yet to perfect our processes. We're still doing things, the most mechanized way. We always, we had this phobia for, doing things digitally. We always want to have, we always want to meet people physically, get to, it's just an African thing and all that. So, but all of a sudden, there was this new normal that restricted us all to stay indoors and all what have you and all that. But of course, as humans, we had to still reach, deep down into ourselves and then try to rise up to the occasion. So what started as gloom and uncertainty and what have you has actually created a dimension for us, has actually helped some persons to improve, on one or two things. So now, at this point in time, the words, the observations of Charles Darwin becomes ever more golden. Charles Darwin, after observing how animals relate in the jungle, said that it is not actually the strongest of the species that survive to change. So the big question now is, how adaptable to change are you? At this point in time, in this very new normal, what it takes for you to survive is not intelligence per se, it's not strength, of course, but that ability for you to be able to adjust yourself, just like Charles Darwin pointed out. Okay, now what we see today didn't just the circumstance we are seeing today didn't just start right now. You will agree with me that some of these tools that have become very handy today were not just invented because there was COVID-19. No, these tools had been around for close to a decade and all those stuff. But the new normal actually drew more attention to them. And like I would always say, if there will ever be anything like globalization cannot thrive without some of these new technological innovations and all what we have today. Just like you have the Zoom right now, we all are scattered in different parts of the world, but we are all together now, exchanging ideas and thoughts. What has brought about this possibility? It did not just start today. Are we there? So now, as the world changes, so should we, For like I always say, anything that cannot coexist must to stop existing. Okay, permit me, I will share a very short story with you. This was something that happened to my friend. So what I'm telling you is not a reported speech, not at all. Sometime last year, before the lockdown was imposed, My friend, who is a Java programmer, went for interview in one of these tier 1 banks in Lagos, and he did very well. And so they sort of like offered him the job. But the engagement letter wasn't quite forthcoming. So the young man was in the house, he was worried, he was always thinking, maybe he thought, okay, maybe the normal Nigerian thing had happened. So maybe they kicked him out and all that. So what he did was he took up a job, by another smaller company, and was always, was doing something for them. And then in his spare time, he would always go online, try to learn crypto and what have you. So eventually the bank reached out to him and then they offered him the job. So he was doing the job plus other ones he was doing. And these things were made possible. Why? Because he was working from home. And he still does, in fact, sorry about that. He still does right now. So fast forward to last month in March, sorry, I saw him. So he was grumbling. And I was like, why are you grumbling? He said the bank he works for sent them a memo to start getting ready to resume the regular 9 to 5 job. And I was like, that's fine. Is that not what you've always wanted? He said, not anymore. Because right now he realizes that he could actually work for multiple companies from the comfort of his home. And he said, the time I will be wasting, working for this particular bank alone, I can use it to do 2 to 3, 4, 5 jobs, and I'll still have some time to myself. So that is a typical example of what the new normal has actually made some people to become. So now the question I ask is, are you just waiting for this new normal to phase out? Or are you doing something in order to be able to fit into it? So are you watching the movie or are you acting a script in this new normal? So now there's no other way for you to actually improve yourself in this new normal, if not for you to take advantage of the instrumentality of the internet to learn one skill or the other. I want to share a story with you. You may find it difficult to believe if I tell you that since this new normal started, I've not had one day without doing something. I've never been idle for one whole day. In fact, it's even a challenge trying to attend to everybody's needs, because before this new normal was, before we entered this very new normal, a lot of people didn't quite see the need to always digitize their processes and all that. So, but now the new normal made it possible for some persons to want to see the need to sell via Facebook, all your digital channels and all that. So most times a lot of persons call and they're like, oh, can you help me do this? Can you help me do that? In fact, it got to a point that they had to now reach out and start requesting for a kind of like a training session just for them to be able to find a way around. And it's been very wonderful. The fact is, the reason why I so enjoy doing this thing is not because of the money involved, but the fact that you are actually playing a script. You are adding value to people's lives. And at this point in time, where what they used to take for granted has become like the main core of their daily processes, somebody is always there, just to provide that service. So now the COVID-19 opened up, of course, new opportunities for people. A lot of consulting companies that train wirelessly right now, they've actually had to come up to adopt new modalities just to help them get by. And even some of them will actually tell you that somehow this thing is quite profitable for them right now, because the new normal makes it possible for you to let go of all those logistics you have to, procure and all what have you and all that. So basically, the people that have actually benefited most from this new normal have been companies and organizations that have actually invented tools to help people connect, wirelessly from wherever, from any part of the world and all that. So now what you have here is just a statistics to show the type of the number of persons that are actually was the number of persons that were basically should I say the number of persons that experienced a halt to their processes, and then that opens up an aspect, an opportunity for tech companies like the Zoom we're using right now, and Microsoft and the rest of them to step into the fore. And it may interest you to know that these people did not just wake up and then start developing something just immediately. No, these things have actually been there. But so you might want to ask yourself, this new normal, is it really an accident? I leave that answer to you. It may not be if you ask me. Okay, now What I have here is just a revenue. I just took, of course, just as an example of one of them. I can't talk about all of them because of time factor. This what you have here is just a simple rundown of Zoom's revenue from year 2018 and down to 2020. This is not net income, please mind you. So, and on the left, I have the number of traffic they've had between 2019 and 2020. In 2019, you had about 10 million people who actively use Zoom. Then in March 2020, it rose to 200 million. And now in April, it rose to 300 million. As at this point, we don't even have the statistics because as we are even talking about it, a lot of persons are subscribing to this new idea of remote and distant learning. So now, here are some opportunities from working from home for you. The first question to ask yourself is, what works for you? What works for you? Is it tangible goods or intangible goods? Now, tangible goods are basically physical products defined by the ability to be touched. This is where manufacturing industries fall. If for instance, now someone comes to you and says, okay, please, I need you to help me manufacture a pen. Now, because of all the processes involved in manufacturing a pen, they don't depend on you as a person. It may become a challenge at this point for you. No, but if someone comes to you and says, okay, I need you to help me design a design graphics, build a website or something, or somebody comes to you merely just for advisory services, just like some consulting companies do. So you can actually, from the comfort of your home, and render these services. But even if you are into tangible goods, there are some tools you can take advantage of at this particular point. There was sometime last year, before some people woke up from their bed, I could close a deal, maybe somewhere in Abuja, somewhere even in Dubai. It doesn't cost anything. All you have to do is to what? Socket yourself into the supply chain. That is if you sell tangible goods. This was made possible by the new normal because a lot of persons found out that the regular means of going to buy things and all that were basically halted. So the new normal actually made it very possible for people to be able to explore tools that can pick that. In fact, from the comfort of my home here, I could connect somebody maybe in Abuja. I talk as if I'm with you in Abuja. Then from Abuja, I could supply something to anywhere I want. It was made possible by the new normal. Okay, so now these are just some list of things you can consider right now. Because of the new normal, a lot of people don't go to work, they don't go to any physical place. So you can always just find what works for you. If you are the kind of person that likes digital products and all that, you can just learn. There are many of them. I can't list all of them out here. So, and then like I mentioned, we have manufacturing and the tangible goods, we have supply chain, etc. There are many of them. So basically, there are some technology for you to drive productivity for you if you are working from home. The first thing you want to do is to get tools that can help you connect dispersed workforces. Then build a network. You mustn't be good in everything. You mustn't do everything. The likes of Jumia and Konga and what have you don't manufacture a thing. They don't. What they do is they are just somewhere along. They are just somewhere in the supply chain. They don't manufacture anything. All what they do is they connect the buyer and the seller, and then they make what you might call spread from there. Are we there? So you can get tools that will enable you to collaborate with people. You can get tools that will enable you to collaborate with people. If maybe you sell a product online and you don't manufacture that product, you can't say because you don't manufacture, you can't sell. What you can do is you connect people that manufacture that product, then you connect people that need the product. There are tools that can enable you to do this. You can explore social media and the likes. And Frater Alfred talked a lot about this. In fact, he made my job very easy here. There are a lot of tools, a lot of e-commerce sites right now are all making waves. Some of them, even by mere generating leads, by mere generating views, you can make good money. In case maybe you are somebody who is into advisory service and all that, by the time you begin to pick content, you talk about them, and then people begin to view your channel on YouTube, it gets to a point where Google can actually say, okay, hey, we can see that your views are increasing, so let's pay you for this, just to keep the job going. So now what do? You can get organized. At this point in time, you may take up so much because of the fact that it's easy and all that, but it doesn't make sense when you take up so much and yet at the end of the day, you can't actually create that value. So you can get organized, you can get tools that help you to plan your schedule very well. If you have a lot of people to attend to, you can actually shift some of these things. There was sometime I got in touch with somebody I know very personally, that has a dispatch rider company. I wanted him to help me deliver something urgently that day, but she told me that, I'm sorry, boss, this cannot work today, except tomorrow. I felt like, the fact that this person knows me very well, I was thinking maybe she should at least, switch gears and then maybe just accommodate me, but she said no. And I felt very impressed that someone I know, a very young business lady like this, could actually, open up and then tell me exactly what I never wanted to hear. But it happened. So and so after about a day or two, she got in touch with me and asked me if I still want the service, but I said no. So that's just typically getting organized, trying to be proactive. Now, be reachable. Availability is key. Availability is key. There is no point when you try to create an impression that you are always there online, and then when someone needs your service and all that, the person finds it hard to reach you. That doesn't work. At this point in time, you must be reachable at every point in time. There are times some people get in touch with me and then they tell me, okay, I should help them to digital marketing. I should help them do advert on Facebook and all that. And then they'll be like, please, I don't want the adverts to run in the night. And I'll ask them, can you actually prove to me if there's any time people are not on social media? I don't know about you, but me, most times, the things I absorb the most are actually when I wake up, maybe like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. So I will always be like, no, I will advise you to not turn it off. Allow the adverts, just let it run. You can reach people at any point in time. So that is it. And then the thing is, know your pain points, know the things you cannot do, and then get people to help you out there. You have to know your pain point, know what is it that you want to feel, that you want to actually do for people out there, and then outsource when there is need. Don't do everything by yourself. Outsource when there is need. If you must get someone to help you do your content writing, please feel free. If you must help somebody to do your advertising, feel free. If you whatever it is you want to do, there are times people get in touch with me to help them with social media advertising, and I have to spend almost a whole day trying to edit the writing, trying to add one or two keywords that create that appeal for people. So this is just a typical example of people who try to do everything for themselves. Most times it doesn't work that way. It's always good for you to be self-reliant, but in a case where you cannot do everything for yourself, please do not hesitate to actually outsource some of these things. That's just one important skill. And then the new normal, if anything, has made people so focused on themselves. This is the danger, if you ask me, because people have realized that, okay, most of the things I need, I can actually get maybe one digital tool or the other to help us get through and all that. But as pragmatic young Rosicrucians, we must not forget the core principle of the order, which is work and worship. Now, service, they say, is the rent we pay for occupying God's kingdom. So if you pay service for occupying God's kingdom, how much more the kingdom created by man? So we must not lose sight of this very value, because that is the purpose of our existence on this earth plane. So at this point, I will say thank you for having me. I'm grateful for this opportunity. Once more, I want to express my profound gratitude to the organizers of this wonderful seminar for me to come here and share my thoughts with you. So thank you very much. Up, light bearers.
Up, light bearers. Keep the light shining. Please, a round of applause to Dr. Promise for that lovely piece. We really do appreciate. Thank you very much, Dr. Promise. Right now, okay, as the world changes, so should we. Get organized, be reachable, availability is key. We're moving over to a question and answer session. And I'll read some of the questions. Yeah.
Dr. Promise, before we commence with the question and answers or questions and comments, kindly stop sharing. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. The first question, greetings and thanks for the presentation. This is coming from Dr. Peter Oboji. And this is going to you, Dr. Alfred. What methods do we employ for doing our research on this investment scheme? What are those methods that we employ?
Let me just share my screen once again to those investment. Just hold on 1 minute. All right, thanks for the question. I'm just trying to go to the investment opportunities here. All right, so as I said, these are online investment platforms, and in line with the new normal, we should get abreast with such investment options, because this is the future. Before now, you had to maybe walk into a bank or some stockbroking house to invest. But now many of these companies are using online platforms to see how you can just invest at the touch of a button from your smartphone. So for research, firstly, you look for track record. There are lots of them who have been in business for a while. You go on either the iOS store or the Play Store and check on the reviews in the comment section. Yes, some of these reviews can be doctored, but even negative ones are also there too. So you see people's experiences on that platform. Secondly, that some of them are also backed up by insurance companies. Like I think Bambu, Farm Crowdy, Piggyvest, they are backed up by All Mutual Insurance, Leadway Insurance. So this is a guarantee that, okay, if, for instance, you invest and there is an issue with that investment, like if I'm investing using a Farm Crowdy for maybe maize, and there's maybe like a pandemic in the farm, locust beans or something, then the insurance company assures you that you get at least your initial investment or your initial capital back, even if the premium or the interest will not come with it. So you can do your research around that line. Track record is one. Look at if it's backed up by any insurance company. But as I said, start very small. You don't have to also start with any large amount of spare cash. Put in 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, and see how that works for you over a 30 to 60 day period. You can now take on maybe additional funds or a larger portfolio if you want to. I hope that answers your question.
Well, thank you very much, Alfred. And the next question, this is coming from Library Monso Nambi. What advice would you give an employed person who is looking to exit work and have a startup, especially in this post-COVID period?
It's okay. That's a very lovely question. Most persons are looking to see how they can earn extra cash and income. As I said, get a side hustle, but you don't have to exit your present employment. That is stable cash coming in for you, except the other reasons. But if you still have that job, keep it while you start that one by the side and see how it grows. You make your first 1,000, make your first 2,000, make your first 3,000, 10,000, 1 million. Many people, run businesses, alongside, their own jobs, they're doing very well. They didn't have to resign from in some way, ups and downs. So if, for instance, you began the business and 4 months into your own business, something happens, what do you fall back on? So try to grow your business first any way you can. And if it gets to a point where, yes, you're making so much more money, you need to be on ground 100% to face that business. Then you can now say, okay, I think I have tried my best working as a paid employer. I want to start something. But my advice, go ahead, start up your business, but still keep your job for a while and watch your business grow. And if you feel that you need to leave, based on the need of your business, then you can leave. Hope that answers your question. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Please, Lord Librarians, Fratters, and Sorors, if you have questions to ask, kindly look down, you see the Q&A, you can ask your questions while I'm reading through. This is from Dr. Akin Babafemi. How do we recognize opportunities from difficulties?
Opportunities from difficulties. I don't think I understand the question fully, but I can talk about how you can identify opportunities. For instance, using the pandemic. I walked into a shop when with 3 days or 4 days before the lockdown, and I asked for face masks to buy for myself and my family, and they said there was no face mask. I went to 3 different shops, same answer. The one that I saw a face mask, it was costing twice or thrice the price. That is an opportunity that something is going on and that face masks are not available on shops. So we talk about it, why not get into a business or import this face mask? Have to sell. Many people cleared the shelves of larger sanitizers and began to sell in smaller bottles. This is just the pandemic. But as I said, lots of issues in Nigeria needs to be solved. So every problem presents an opportunity for business or to make money. So look at your immediate environment. What problems are you seeing? What problems are you seeing that needs solution? Many of us are inspired. We focalize, we pray, and a thought comes to us. Why not do this? We say, that business, I don't think, what good is inspiration if not put to good use? So if you're inspired for something, try it. You never can tell. Try to see what you can solve. The world's solutions today began as problems, and people had to solve them. For instance, Apple phone. Steve Jobs was looking at his phone one day, and I think he picked up his phone in reverse form and saw that the phone did not. He had to turn it back to look at it, and he said, "Why can't I just have a device that if I pick up whichever way I turn the phone, it follows me to have?" So that was a problem he saw, and he was able to solve it with what we are seeing today, having a 360 dimensional image when we turn our phones around. So try to look at your immediate environment and see what problems you can solve. The pandemic has brought about lots of unique ways of which we can key into various things. Look at it. I think with that, with trying a couple of things, you get in future, once your mind is fixed on looking at problems, potential business opportunities, you tend to see them as they come. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Alfred. That was a beautiful one. And let me also add to what you have said. You see, if you, for instance, you're down on cash and you have a car, you can turn it to both, some platforms that you can actually make some cool cash. If you're a student and you have some good skills, what stops you from going to the hostel and advertising your business? These are all positive and beautiful strategies you can use to make a lot of money. I tell you, I've tried it before, it's worked, and I recommend the same strategy for you. And then we're taking our next question. This is from Frata Adele Chukudi from Talis Lodge. So please throw more light on this, your quote. Turnover is vanity, profit is sanity, cash flow is reality. This goes to you, Frata Alfred.
Okay, thank you very much. This is one of my favorite quotes. Turnover is vanity, profit is sanity, cash flow is cash is king. So I'll give you an example. Maybe let me explain for an example. You have a business. Some people have businesses and they're making so much money in sales. But it's difficult for them to even pay the rent. It's difficult for them to even handle cash for something that is not tied to the business. So you can make lots of turnover, but you don't have enough cash, to play around. That's one example. You can make lots of turnover too, and make some profits, which we call sanity, because at least you're not making losses, but have to turn back that profit into the business. So profit is sanity, yes, but still you have no cash to play around. So take for example, in my business now, we import things to Nigeria, supply to a client, and in 30 days we invoice and get paid in 30 or 60 days. So let's say I imported something worth 100,000 naira, to Nigeria. There's a cost of sales for that amount. Let's say it was 75,000 all in, and I have a profit of 25K. I have to invoice 100,000 to my client and get paid in 30 days. But before I get paid, I have to pay the people that have the goods. As the manufacturer of that item is paid cash up front. I have to pay my freight forwarder, I have to pay my clearing agents, I have to pay the local logistics companies. Also, these are costs that I have to go and wait for 30 days before I get paid. So even if I'm expecting money, maybe money is coming in, but I don't have the cash flow to even take care of these challenges. So after now, no money, I have to go to a bank to bridge bridge finance or, to ensure that I can pay, my vendors. So you can make money, lots of money. Money keeps coming in, good turnover, but you don't have enough cash. So it's always a cash. That's why you should try to see how you can have multiple streams of income or open up your cash flow to be able to accommodate, whatever comes in. So that's why most businessmen, they don't really bank on turnover because it's a component of, your cost of sales, taxes and everything. By the time you deduct all that, are you making a profit or a loss, or are making a profit? Okay, it's profit enough for you to put something aside and throw something back in. If you don't have enough profit to keep aside, you have to throw in all your profits. Yes, you're not making a loss, but your at least business is sane. So profit is sanity. By the time you get to a point where you have made so much money, turning over money by the side, and you can pay these freight forwarders, your suppliers, without even having to go to the bank, you can support other business endeavors, you can send money home to your parents, you can say, I have cash flow, which is king. So I hope that's, I don't want to get so technical, but hope that explains it in some way.
Thank you very much. Please, a round of applause for Dr. Alfred. That was a beautiful piece. The next question.
Can I add a quick comment? Sorry. Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Can I add a quick comment to what Brother Alfred said?
Promises, go ahead.
Okay, just a quick comment to that response. If you talk with most organizations that either supply products to government agencies or services, you find out that you may actually supply products to the government. The government will recognize the fact that you supply them products and will actually approve your payment for you. But after a while, a new government may come in place and then cancel that approval. So you find out that profits, or rather, what do I call it? You find out that profit is actually not cash. So there's always that need for you to have that constant cash flow. So I think that's the question. The person that asked that question, that's actually what the person wants to hear. So most times, turnaround doesn't necessarily translate to cash. It doesn't work. Most times, there are times you offer service, and then you find out that the person you've offered this service to has recognized the fact that you've offered service to the person, but yet that payment hasn't been made. And then if you find out the difference between most small and large organizations is actually that cash flow. Just want to make that quick comment. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Very apt. Thanks, Promise.
Thank you very much, Prata Promise, for your input. Next question from Prata Chidi Akani, Dawaya Amaso Lodge. They kindly highlight the recommended investment platforms and apps. This should go to Promise.
Promise.
Okay, Alfred.
Okay, can you still hear me all? I think my internet is okay. I've been sharing on my screen, various online platforms. These are some that through research we have seen that are largely, stable. They meet up to their obligations. They pay on, it depends on what you want to do or where you want to play. They are cutting across various bodies from agriculture, various sectors. From agriculture to treasury bills to the money market to stocks. So look at them. I've shared them on my screen. They're still on my screen. You have a couple of them here into local foreign stocks, even assets in America. RiseVest can also do that for you. So look at them, do your research, as I've said, look what tickles your fancy, start small, then grow into it, as you get your returns. If you're interested in agriculture, Farm Crowdy, I use them, they're also quite very good and stable. They pay on time. These are all online platforms from your phone. You can get involved in them. There's PiggyVest, they began as Piggy Bank or so, but they grew into an investment company. You put in money there, it's locked in there for 1 year. They debit your account straight, pay into your piggy bank, and from there, you can save, and it comes with a handsome interest of between 10 to 15%, per annum. These are all low, medium risk businesses. Not a very high risk risk person. I prefer to go into this than going into the likes of maybe MMM or this MBX Forex that crashed. I had lots of friends who lost money there, 6 million, 10 million for, because they're looking for higher returns. But slow and steady, you can have these returns coming in trickles, and from there you grow something. This is a pay investor by ARM. They are a strong investment group here in Nigeria. You can do your research on them. They are on ground, they are solid. You can also do your research and see if you can invest in the money markets with ARM. There's I invest, I said, for treasury bills, which are the most secure government-backed bonds. You can throw yourself into this too gradually, and you see how that goes. This is fins. This also appeals to you. Peer-to-peer lending is something that people do nowadays. You have excess money, you can throw it in there. The money is being lended to various persons. Interest can be negotiated and agreed on. Can you all hear me now? I don't know how much people lost down here back here in the studio. I hope I answered the question.
Yes,
the previous question. Was it
yes,
answered?
we can hear you now.
Are there comments to that effect? If no comments, I think the next question was maybe you take it on again. How can a tailor fit into the This is quite a very interesting question, because I feel that they're one of the easiest people to fit into the new normal. As I said, lots of them were able to transform their businesses and start doing things that were related to the pandemic. They began to sew face masks, some began to sew PPE, personal protective, uniforms, along that line. But as a tailor, you can up your game. There's something wrong if you create an app, or a fashion designer, you create an app where people can go in there, see your style, see your designs, even on their own, design things, based on your app and send to you to actually sew. They are best ways to even take measurements now than having to, actually measure people physically. You can use technology to improve the way you do things. I have friends who are based in Nigeria, but they sew for persons all over the world. That can be your own forte too. Your market shouldn't be limited to Nigeria. Yeah, people there in Canada, in the US, who need your products and services. So you can go create a website, showcase your best designs there, start to market it digitally, start with your family, your WhatsApp status, you're showing what you are doing. You are posting it on Instagram, on Twitter, using social media to market your products. That is fine. Nothing stops you from going as far as even using Google AdWords, SEO to boost your marketing and your sales and what you sell for people to actually see. So technology is here to stay, and I feel that it's to cut across all industries. Be it be a fashion designer, you're into some other industry. So tailors, yes, everybody needs to sew clothes, everybody needs to dress. I sew things too, and my tailor might not even be where I am. I send him my material, he sends him some design, so we can use certain, even to even get paid. Quarterly being, you can also do that too. Set up an app on Paystack where you tie it to your account. People can go in there and see what you offer. You can throw in some things too to really make it very exciting in that regard. So I hope that also answers your question.
Thank you very much, Frater Alfred Idiodi, for your response to these questions. We have another question from Akhenaten chapter, and the question is, what advice would you give to someone with a business plan without capital to start?
That's a good question. What advice
would you give to someone with a business plan without capital to start? I think you and Alfred and Promise can as well answer this question.
Maybe let Promise start. Promise, you can go ahead, or you want me to start?
All right. Thank you. There are multiple businesses you can actually run without any single capital.
Promise, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you here.
Okay.
Okay, Promise, go ahead. We can hear you.
Okay. Right now, there are multiple businesses you can start without any capital. For example, if you are a social media advertiser, you don't need a single capital to start. There's so much vacuum for content writers, but there are so few that people are looking for them right now. A lot of people make so much money from writing content, be it on social media, be it on YouTube and all that. So the question is, what kind of business are you talking about? Because there are a lot of them. You don't necessarily need anything to start. That's the truth. And then when you don't have capital to start, let's say some manufacturing businesses, you can actually become a supply chain personnel. Like I mentioned in the course of my presentation, that the likes of Google and Jumia and Konga and the rest don't have warehouses. These people probably started their businesses from the comfort of their home. I don't know if you've read about the history of Amazon. Amazon started from a car park. Amazon didn't have any car park. It started from a car park. And today, Amazon, you can't talk about top rich men in the world without mentioning Amazon. So you can look at, you can look at web design, you can look at graphic design, you can look at so many of these. You don't need a dime to start these businesses at all. You don't need them. Even if maybe you have interest in manufacturing. Now, if you don't have what it takes to start these manufacturing businesses, you can actually start something else and then generate the funds you want and actually now do what? Divest into whatever it is you want. For example, I'll give you an example. If there's one thing I love so much and I would like to go into is farming. But what do I do? Should I wait until I have maybe millions before I go into farming? No, the answer is no. So I started digital marketing. From digital marketing, I could raise whatever it is I want, and then I'll go into farming. So you can look at some of this and then you can start. You don't even need the capital for it. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Promise. I think you have I don't know what kind of business you're going into, but there are lots of support that people can get, from friends, family members, their angel investors, their incubator, accelerator sessions that you can really go to and get involved and pitch, your idea to them, and they can also support you in some way. We have something like that too, and if it's something that it's worthwhile tied to technology, you can actually contact us, Alfred at worknigeria.com, and we'll be glad to see how we can assist in financing such an endeavor. But as Promise has said, never give up. Try to see how you can raise money from other aspects. Talk to people, keep knocking on doors, talk to your uncles, your family friends. Yes, many of them will tie you down or would turn you down. But just keep trying. Many of us who began business began with nothing, but with the help of friends, family, as associates, reached out to persons who introduced us to investors, and we pitch. They began with something small. If you're looking for maybe 100,000 naira, they give you 10 first to start. Let's see how what you can do with that. Then the inch up, you have a track record for a year or 2 years. And you can approach banks and other institutions to actually assist you. But they will open. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Alfred Igudi, and Promise Ayanaso. Thank you for the response to that question. Liberia, Emmanuel Ebiaride from Ogeli Lodge Cluster is asking, how reliable is bamboo, chaka, chrome, and the rest, and how can one invest in any one of them?
It's okay, thank you. As I said, like I'm using bamboo. I began to use them, and it's been working well so far. There's been no issues. I'm not saying that you must invest with these platforms. I don't know anyone who created these platforms. It's just an easy option for me to buy stocks, outside the country. The good thing about it is that most nowadays they have what's called shared stock options. So, for instance, you want to buy one Tesla share, which is about $700. But you can't afford that. What they do is that they crowdfund from various persons, and 10 people can come together and buy that share and also split profits when it's done. So I saw this as just low risk investment from your bedroom or your house or your phone to give you an idea that you need to start investing in things, because this is how the future would be. This is the new normal. Nobody will walk into a bank anymore to say, I want to buy a treasury bill. It will be done from your phones, from your laptops. Nobody would want to buy shares abroad. You can. The world is now a global family. And it's so near to you. So that's why I just said, well, it's good that we tickle our imaginations and our mindsets with such options. From our research, please do your research before you invest in any of them. Look at the reviews on Google. You can talk to persons there who have invested to know what their feedback is. But as I said, from research, these are largely okay bodies, and the next 10 years, this would be commonplace. I can ask you, when last did you move into a bank to get your money? But if the bank is insured by NDIC, so okay, fine, my money is safe. So look for ones that are at least insured by a couple of insurance companies, and as low as $10, you can start with 5,000, 10,000, see what's the 30 days, how does it flow? Then from there, you can take it up with larger investments in your portfolio. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Alfred Igudi, for the response. Now, Regional Monitor Rosalind Imoniero from sitting at Ugeli Lodge Cluster. She's also a counselor for the Liberia Association. She's asking, as an adult Liberian, how do you create emergency fund from a tight budget?
Okay, is the question for me?
I think
yes, I spoke about creating an emergency fund. It's if everyone knows, how their life, you have a pocket money as a student, so even as an adult, you're earning 100,000 naira, a month, or 3,000 naira a month. In as much as you are saving 5,000, we put it aside in case of any eventualities. Normal practice. But now, given what the pandemic has even shown us, that there can be some disruption, on plan, and we might be affected. Try to see how you can secure it. Like people have savings, but always go back to their savings to touch such short savings. So that's where apps like maybe PiggyVest are also there, tying in that fund. You can invest it also in some financial institutions where you can call up the money, as soon as you want. So the money is there, waiting for, you're getting some interest on that money, but you can liquidate it, anytime. Some of these, investment options are also there too for you. But my point there was that always save for the rainy day. No matter how much money you are making, always save for the rainy day. You know, if you try to get a percentage of whatever money comes into you to save, and ensure you stick to that savings, man. And you spend so much more money, you know, on lots of things, you know, you can give it to your wife. I know that might sound very funny, but keep it with somebody. And even if you meet us, say, honey, I need money for, say, no, this money is for our emergency. So you keep it there. Look at that. When I was in school, I used to save money with my cousin, you know, because banker to the government. So we come, I drop the money with her, I go to her. You know, feeding was also key. So when I resume school, I just go to it. So you have to learn, see how, and put aside something in case of emergency. These are times where we have to just try to save, try to cut down on lots of expenses. If, for instance, you like drinking, cut it down, let that money go somewhere else. If you like buying human hair all the time, cut it down, let that money go somewhere else. We try to keep money for, we never can tell when the next pandemic will come. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pastor Alfred Idiodi, for the response. Yes, for us ladies, please, let's cut it down on the bone straight wigs and human hair and all that. Those things are, they cost a fortune and it's really biting deep into our purses or that of our parents or that of our spouses. Okay, we have a question from Peter Oboji. Can we have the contact details of all presenters for post-webinar follow-up and clarifications and classifications? As we attempt to apply what we have learned here. Frater Alfred Idudi and Frater Promise Ayana, so kindly leave your contact details in the chat area. Earlier, I can as well type out, and Chikeze Okore, Dr. Bimbo, please leave your contact details in the chat area so that members can get across to you when necessary. There's also a question from Ikpefi Joseph Jr. sitting at Chromata Lodge Cluster asking, please, those people that are supposed to be inducted this year, what about them? Okay, I would respond to this as chairman for the induction committee of the Libraries Association. If you recall, we've not had any physical event since last year. That means we did not have any induction last year. So right now we have new libraries to be inducted for the year 2020 and 2021. I want to assure you that at the next national conference, at the next on-site or physical national conference, we will be having this induction ceremony. We will not be having any virtual induction. So just keep it as a date. Just remember what I've explained now. At the next on-site national conference, we'll be having the induction ceremony. Thank you very much. So on this note, I would like to say thank you to our three facilitators for today. For now, Dr. Bimbo Yedokun, Frater Alfred Idiodi, and Frater Promise Ayanaso for delivering so efficiently. Over to you, Dave.
All right. Thank you so very liberal. Thank you to our facilitators and physical exercise. So right about now, Liberia, more
Umueka is a back-end developer and currently works as back-end developer and IT consultant at the English West Africa Administration of the Rosicrucian Order AMO. He graduated from the University of Calabar with a bachelor's degree in electronics and computer technology. He is born into a Rosicrucian family and have been through the ranks from the Junior Order of Torchbearers to a light bearer and has been a frater of our beloved order since 2013. Xavier has served as the Secretary and Vice Chairman of the LBA in Apollonius Lodge, Calabar, and is currently the National Public Relations Association. Xavier has served in various offices in the convocation and initiation team of Apollonius Lodge and is currently serving as the Secretary in the Board of Trustees for Apollonius Lodge. Distinguished fratres and sorors, beloved light bearers, let's welcome Frater Xavier Umueka.
Thank you very much, Sarah Nefertiti, for that wonderful introduction. Most worthy Grand Administrator, fratres and sorors, and fellow library. I'm going to lead you through performing a mystical exercise, popularly known within the circle of our order as the overall body exercise. But before I commence with this exercise, I want to give you some preliminaries for a librarian. Let me rephrase that. As an active Rosicrucian, a practicing Rosicrucian, and a librarian, a day. In the morning, as you get up from bed, and in the evening as you retire to bed. Before doing the exercise or internal cleansing, and wash your hands and your cleansing. You should always sit in a place perfectly relaxed and quiet if you can. And the overall exercise is an exercise that energizes all the psychic components and also the physical components of the body, the psychic components and the physical counterparts. It's also known as the total head exercise, moving our consciousness from the sole of our feet up to the crowns of our head. So on this note, I will now ask we all to sit relaxed with our back straight and our feet flat on the ground, slightly apart from each other. Commence with neutral deep breathing by breathing in and breathing out without holding the breath to cleanse yourself. Now we are going to commence positive deep breathing while concentrating our concentrated consciousness on some certain parts of our body. Visualize white light at the sole of the feet. Breath. If you're concentrated conscious. cells, the bones and the tissues in your thighs up to your waist. With the next deep breath, focus on your abdomen. See this white light energize all the organs in your abdomen. Feel the warmth and the vitality in these organs. Feel the energies, each cell of these organs, each tissue. Gradually move your concentrations. Concentrate on the center of your being, which is your heart. Feel the energy and vitality in each heartbeat. Concentrate on the rhythm of the heartbeat and feel alive. Now, let this light infuse your whole body, lower to the base of your neck. Feel every cell in this region come alive, infused with vitality. Now, gradually move your concentration from the base of the neck through the neck and concentrate fully on your brain. Acknowledge that your brain is the seat of your objective consciousness and infuse it with vitality from this white light. Now move your concentration gradually from your brain through your head, up to a point 6 inches above your head. See this pure white light infuse your entire being. And restore vitality into your whole body. Feel the energy in you. Life. Feel all the organs in your body working optimally to carry out your day-to-day activities. We will now attune ourselves with the celestial sanctum. We may now say mentally, universe, the celestial sanctum attunement. May the divine essence of the cosmic infuse our beings and cleanse us of all impurities of mind and body. So that means we're in pureness and witness. So motive be. See yourself gradually rise from the point which you are keep rising, see your compound, your community above your village. Above your states. Keep rising. Above the earth, physical earth. Self in the celestial sanctum, which could be a church, a mosque, a cathedral, and for most of us, a Rosicrucian temple. Feel the energy, the harmony, peace, and love radiating within this temple, and attune yourself with it. as you are become receptive of the radiation from this sacred place. Let it infuse in you and bubble the thought of becoming a better person, rendering greater service to humanity. Let it awaken in you the inner desire from the lectures we had yesterday and today to become of greater service. Let it give you the inspiration to go ahead and start that business, to go ahead and build on that idea which you have had for a while. To start a new spending and saving habit. Infuse into your being positive vibrations. God of our hearts, God of our realization. As this period of meditation comes to an end, may the invisible masters of our order grant us their blessings and guide our steps on the path that leads to greater light, so that we may become true light bearers and an unconditional servant of humanity. So mote it be. Gradually descend from the symbolic height of the celestial sanctum to the path which you came. Gradually descend back to your physical world. Attunement of self with the celestial sanctum. So mote it be. Gradually return to your objective consciousness and become aware of your surroundings. Beloved fratres and sorors, fellow light bearers, this experiment can be conducted twice a day in the morning and before you go to bed, to energize yourself, to give you that desire to live through this day, through the pandemic era. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Light Senior Moika. Appreciate. Thank you. Please, brothers and surrounds, a round of applause for that. Up next, we have GA Forum, and the topic is municipal life and peace profound. Now, Liberians, partners, and sorors, let's put our hands together for our most worthy Grand Administrator and Director for the Supreme Board of AMOC, Frater Kenneth U. Ijobi. Please, a round of applause for him.
Up light bearers. Up light. Up light bearers. Keep the light shining.
Up light bearers.
Wonderful. You who have organized this weekend of activities, the Light Bearers Association of the Worldwide Rosicrucian Order AMOC, being hosted here at Rosicrucian Park, Calabar, Cross River State of Nigeria. Very specifically to congratulate the alumni and executive of the Light Bearers Association, who have worked tirelessly with our national coordinator, Sir Bubemi Bridget Idiodi, with regional monitor Sam Ofoyadi, who is the deputy national coordinator, Frater Sam Ofoyadi, the deputy national coordinator, and all of those who have given us presentations. We started yesterday with Frater Chikezie Okorie, who dwelt on the theme lecture, Thriving in the New Normal, the Rosicrucian Perspective. This was followed by Employment and Entrepreneurship in the New Normal by Frater Christian Idiodi. And then later we had a talk, Strategies for Successful Virtual Interviews by Sir Rosetta Idiodi Ogara. And yesterday ended with Building the Skills, Not Credentials by Frater Ejo Okonobi. Again, with opening comments, Frater Sam Ofori, followed by Frater Alfred Idiodi, facilitating for us economic survival in the post-pandemic era. Frater Dr. Bimbo Oyedoku addressed us on safeguarding our mental health, and this was followed by e-learning and working from home by Frater Promise Anyanasa. Of course, took us through the overall body exercise, and from there into the Celestial Sanctum, and we are back here together as one on this virtual session. I congratulate each and all of you. Excellent, impressive, and uplifting presentations. We who are adults have learned so much from you, our dear Liberals, and we are positively and rightly proud of what you have had to share with us. You've not hidden your light under the bushel. You've given us an opportunity to enjoy it, and therefore it is our duty, as we have encouraged you from the womb, during the child culture, prenatal and postnatal, in your growing up years, into what you are now, and are under obligation to continue to encourage you to be so much better in the future. And we give you all our love our blessings and our encouragement, that we remain blessed with an abundance, particularly in the area of the light of knowledge and the illumination of wisdom. So much it be. Yes, indeed. You have given me the assignment to talk to you and with you briefly on the mystical life and peace profound. Let me start by saying that every human being has the potential for living a mystical life in order to attain peace profound. However, a member of the Rosicrucian Order Amok is one who has specifically subscribed to the unique training for the mystical life which guarantees peace profound. I mean, the profound peace which passeth all human understanding. You see, most of us join the order for self-improvement, self-realization, and or self-mastery. With time, as we progress in the study and practice of the Rosicrucian principles, we begin to notice an improvement in our health, an improvement in our degree of happiness, an improvement in the depth of harmony within us and around us, and personal well-being, all of which combined lead gradually to the experience of a higher degree of personal peace, serenity. Everyone, I mean every human being, has some appreciation of the value of peace. However, those who are caught in the middle of an actual military warfare or conflict will have a much keener appreciation of the value of peace. The opposite of peace, of course, we all know, is war. And one of the ways of understanding peace is by looking at what happens when we lose our peace, as is the case in a state of war or conflict. An armed conflict puts all affected in a heightened state of risk to life or of loss of limb. In addition, the systems of society for sustaining well-being are destroyed by war. Food and water become scarce. Health services are limited. Education and other forms of human social development and expression are suspended. Everything and anything about life becomes all about survival. Under such conditions, the average human being becomes severely traumatized mentally and emotionally. In other words, the outer conditions of life are reflected in the body. It is the inner trauma, the inner conflicts that pose the greatest challenge to us as human beings. This is because we can suffer far more agony mentally and emotionally than any outer pain inflicted on our physical bodies. While it is true, fratres and sorors, Liberals, that people involved in military warfare generally suffer a lot of trauma, it is also true that similar levels of trauma are suffered by individuals living in places that are totally free from any form of military conflict. During peacetime, for instance, our struggles to meet societal demands can still cause us extremely high emotional distress, especially when we feel we are failing or not succeeding as we have seen others succeeding, sometimes with little or no effort. And so the frustration sets in. It is a psychological fact that it is our reaction to an event that determines our mental and emotional state rather than the event itself. It is worthy of note that our reactions to events are determined by our attitude towards life generally. This attitude has been slowly formed over years, for the most part unconsciously, and therefore is relevant when we are talking about the mystical attitude or our concept of peace. Our immediate inner reaction to an event based on our established attitude is unconscious. We can hardly help ourselves. However, we all have the ability to review our immediate impulses and deliberately choose to act differently if we are dissatisfied with them. Francis and Rose, our light bearers, the mystical life, which begins by study and application of natural and spiritual laws, presupposes an underlying reality that is superior to our material reality. And each and every one of our facilitators since yesterday have acknowledged the superiority of this underlying reality. The Rosicrucian member, being a student of mystical principles, tries to live a life that is circumspect. That is, a life that is mindful of the potential consequences of every thought, every word, and every action. The potential consequences considered are not those claimed by society or popular culture. Rather, they are consequences determined by the eternal principles of life, which have brought all things in the universe into existence. And by aligning with the underlying principles of life, we begin to transcend the outer limitations of life. This eventually leads to a state of peace profound, where we enter into complete harmony with the cosmic. In other words, put the other way, if we are able to organize ourselves through investigation, study, and research, attunement to live a life by our thoughts, utterances, and action, which are in complete harmony with the cosmic, then we are in a state of peace profound. When this happens, there is a complete turnaround, and our material experiences begin to reflect the inner power we have submitted to. It must, however, be understood that this rarely ever occurs instantly or overnight. It is from the experience of all of us who are your parents, our dear light bearers, usually a process fraught with tests and trials and several initiatic experiences along the way. Therefore, we must ever remain grateful to those who serve as beacons of light for the rest of us to follow. On this note, may the God of our hearts, the God of our realization, the God of all creation, inspire in us the zeal to live the mystical life, that we may show by example that the mystical life is the way of peace profound. So much it be. I will be turning you over to our distinguished moderator, Sir Nefertiti Ohiman, who have been ably assisted since yesterday. Yeah. David, any questions or comments that you may have, so that I may hopefully, offer some suggestions, or if you like, answers, and also so that we may rub minds over what we have been discussing since yesterday till today in the area of thriving, trying as much as we can to survive under the new normal, even as I know we are looking forward to that era when we can blend the very best of the ingredients of the old normal with the very best of the ingredients of the new normal to live our normal and usual lives in a dark and saddened world of humanity. Up, up, light bearers.
Keep the light shining.
Light shining.
Keep the light shining.
Up, light bearers.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much for the Grand Administrator for a brief one, but it was what questions waiting as usual, because it's not actually easy for us to get our most for the Grand Administrator to speak to us, especially with the kind of schedule he has. Thank you very much, sir. Distinguished fratres and sorors, beloved light bearers, you will agree that today's event has been really powerful. Power presentations from administrators spoke to us on mystical life and peace profound. So allow a period of 2 minutes if you would have any question or comments for our most worthy Grand Administrator, so he can answer them.
So
while we're waiting,
let me tell you,
for
Soror Nefa, I want to tell you that I'm very familiar with the light bearers, and I know that since they are still growing up, they don't have the stamina for fasting as some of us. So a number of you are itching to munch something, and Soror Idiodi has, from the park here, sent you some electronic rice. It may not be the exact replica of the Easter rice you are used to, but for whatever it is worth, there is the national vice president of CIROC, Regional Monitors, Soror Eunice Otite, who has accompanied this Easter rice with her usual light bearer's cake. You may not have been able to cut all these, but I can tell you that the justice that the facilitators have done to this theme and the ability and capacity with which you and your co-moderators have done an excellent job in moderating this program since yesterday. Shall we say, a great compliment to the so-called missing cake and missing Easter rice, which these two ladies I mentioned earlier normally provide. So on that note, if because of hunger there are no questions, I will close with a benediction. But if you think there are some comments or questions, why not? Why not?
Okay, there is a question. Thank you so much. I'm also the Grand Administrator. Actually, before I take that question, I was about talking about this rights. There's something we say in contemporary English, what we call youth English. I want to pepper the light bearers. Since yesterday, we've been eating the Easter rice. I'm sorry to say, my beloved light bearers and the alumni members, we here in Calabar at this studio, we have been eating the Easter rice. In fact, Mama, what we call Mama coconut rice yesterday. And today, if I should swing this camera for you to see inside the studio, you will not believe what is happening in front of me. My support staff, my support team, they are busy eating jollof rice and they have abandoned me to my fate, drinking as well. What I'm trying to say is, Mama, for libraries as well as Deputy National Coordinator for CIROC, they have actually provided the physical rice for us here. So we are eating on behalf of over 250 light bearers, and as well as drinking on their behalf.
You're very lucky.
Up, light bearers. You have electronic ways of doing your things. That's great. All secrets.
So we have a question from Dr. You ever saying, sir?
Yes, I say all secrets eventually leak out. That's the beauty of the Rosicrucian teachings. We tap into the secrets of the universe. And then through discoveries and inventions, share with all of our bubbling humanity the light of knowledge and the illumination of wisdom with which we have been sacredly entrusted. Thank you.
Adjustments to mystical life in the new.
I didn't hear at all. You may need to repeat the question or comment, please.
Okay. Dr. Akin Babafemi is asking, what are the practical coping adjustments to mystical life in the new normal?
Thank you. In the various presentations we have had, so far since yesterday, very many inroads have been made into how we can come to terms with the new normal, and how, in spite of how it has taken several beings on Earth by surprise, Rosicrucian students, and this includes the light bearers, many of whom are studying these principles, namely the modus operandi of the natural and spiritual laws in creation, the opportunity to actually belt up and to practice even more relentlessly the teachings of our Rosicrucian mystical philosophy. In other words, if you remember the motto of the Boy Scouts, be prepared. That is what the Rosicrucian mystical life is. We equip ourselves through a knowledge of how natural and spiritual laws operate, with what it takes to cope with difficult times, validating the statement that when the going gets tough, the tough get going. We equip ourselves with what it takes to overcome life's limitations and to transcend limitations. We equip ourselves with the capacity and ability to confront and overcome the vicissitudes of life. Meaning, therefore, that if we have been living our lives as Rosicrucian mystical students who are concerned with self-mastery, No further adjustment is necessary other than to intensify our practical application of the principles to confront the problems that are facing our common humanity, which includes us at this particular time. What that means is that by our intuition, we should have seen something like this coming, namely that in the course of normal life, we will be confronted by certain challenging errors. And the era of the pandemic is one of it. A few hours ago, Frater Alfred talked about the Nigerian pandemic to leave us in no doubt that prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, we already had epidemics and pandemic in Nigeria of cataclysmic proportions in the area of, for instance, the economy, not only in the country, but in our personal lives. And this actually holds true for all countries in the world today. Prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, we all were facing economic downturns in various countries, including the United States of America, countries in Europe, Great Britain, and the Asian countries. So the economic recession or depression from which we all needed to extricate ourselves was in, of, and by itself a pandemic of global proportions. And as if that was not enough, we now came under the wave of the COVID-19 pandemic, which led to shutdown of several means of livelihood throughout the world, lockdown in some countries, and don't forget in Nigeria, we had our own temporary lockdown, albeit for a short period of time. So technically, those who have been practicing these principles only have to practice them a little bit more intensely, belt up, and realize that even when we overcome this hard era, hard errors can always come up, and therefore we should be able to adjust to change. Adjustment is one word. Adaptation is another word. And you can see in the presentation of Promise Ayanaso, he's beckoning upon all of us to adapt or die. In other words, it's not really the strongest among us who will survive, but those who have the inner flexibility to adapt and adjust to the ups and downs of life that I normally refer to as the vicissitudes of life. Thank you. Next comment or question, please.
Thank you very much, Amos Worthy Grant Administrator. No question at the moment, except for the light bearers and the alumni members who are still tackling me on misappropriation of Mama's Easter rice.
I know this was going to be an issue, hopefully not a political issue, certainly not an economic issue, but if it is at the level of a mystical issue, I have an answer, which is that if you can attune with us in the park right now, who are perceiving the aroma of Mama's rice, you see yourself as imbibing the incense that is enjoyed by the adult Rosicrucians and of course by light bearers alike, and attune yourself with enjoying this rice in a very highly, it will strengthen your visualization as I describe it. Feel the sweetness of this Mama's rice and Mama's cake, and just flow with its enjoyment. And any time you are ready for your next meal, take it that it is a sweet mystic communion we've had with all of you, and that we have participated and enjoyed it on behalf of all of you in very good faith, and that this is our own way of not just keeping the lights, but also keeping the rice edible. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And I will ask you now to please sit relaxed and turn your consciousness inwards. May the grace of God, the light, life, and love of the universal cosmic Christ and the benediction of the masters continue to abide with us now and always. So much it be. Up, up, light bearers.
Keep the light shining.
Keep the light shining.
Keep the light shining.
Light
Up, light bearers.
Lord Fratres and Sorors, Lord Light Bearers, really thank you so much for your time. We really do appreciate. Thank you so very much for your time for today's occasion.
Distinguished fratres and sorors, beloved light bearers, you will agree with me that today has been very interesting. Is it just today, starting from yesterday, we have had a very beautiful today's event. And on behalf of the Light Bearers Association and its alumni, our special appreciation goes to our most worthy Grand Administrator, Frater Kenneth U. Idiodi, for having us on this platform, this virtual platform. And the National Coordinator for the Sisters of the Rosy Cross, the Light Bearers Association, Columns and Junior Order, and our mama that we always look forward to every Easter for the Mama's Easter rice. We're talking about Soro GB Idiodi, and of course our Deputy National Coordinator, who remains ever young to us, and we fondly call him Uncle Sam. Thank you so much. We're talking about the Regional Monitor for Kutumi Lord, Frater Sam Ofoyande. Thank you so much for the support, for always pushing us, despite the fact that some of us, we think we are adults now, you know, we are no longer light bearers, we're the alumni. You still see us as your children and you still push us. Move, you need to do these things. Hurry up, do it. You know, thank you very much, sir. And then to our Deputy National Coordinator for the Sisters of the Rosy Cross, we're talking about the Regional Monitor for Talis Lodge, Sora Eunice Butete. Thank you, ma. Thanks for the phone call. Thanks for your physical presence. Thanks for the phone. Thanks for always criticizing and also encouraging us. When I mean us, I'm talking about light bearers and the alumni. Thank you for all the support. And then to all our dignitaries that keyed in from all over the world, we're talking about the regional monitors and the grand councillors, the keyed in from the UK, from Cameroon, from Ghana, from the US. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate your presence. And of course, our facilitators. My facilitators are like me, you know, we are in that alumni together. Thank you so much. I'm talking about Frater Chikeze Okorie, Frater Christian Idiodi, Sir Rosetta Idiodi Okara, Dr. Bimbo Oyedokun, Frater Alfred Idiodi, Frater Promise Ayanaso, Frater Savior Moyoka. Sorry, Savior, you're not yet in the alumni. But then, thank you so much for supporting us. Thanks for being here. And then, to our attendees, we cannot appreciate you enough. To our affiliated bodies with the clusters, I'm talking about Talis Lodge and Dabaye Amaso, Centrum Lodge, Kutumi Lodge, Lotus Lodge, Apollonius Lodge, Eton Lodge, Ugeli Lodge, Akhenaten Chapter, Chromata Lodge. Thank you so much. And of course, we have a councillor, the regional monitor for Ugeli Lodge, Sora Imoniero. Thank you for staying here with us as well. We really appreciate. Then we have the final, my backup team, the ones behind the scene. I usually refer to them as the staff, the technical support from the English. Half of everyone, I remain Sarah Nefertiti. Kindly note that we are all unmuted now, so we can talk to each other for some minutes.